Welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314. This is your brother, Bianchi Patah Muntu Nephra Moon Ra. And today we got a powerful show for you.
Bro. Hey, bro. Ain't today Tuesday?
Okay.
You know what that mean, right?
I'm about to do my show.
No. That mean welcome to Paradigm Shift TV 314, where today I will be your host and I go by the name of NoboDy, always trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody.
It's the Takeover, y'all. Takeover Tuesday. That's my little bro. It's on him. Peace.
Welcome back to another episode of Paradigm Shift TV 314, where today I will be your host and I go by the name of NoboDy, always trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody, and that is Jesus the Christ. Man, on today's show, I got Metu, the God, in the building. I also got the movie producer, filmmaker Richie Garfield in the building. And these brothers are just gonna have a nice conversation with each other, man. And we're gonna let the conversation go wherever it go. But before that, I'm gonna let these two brothers introduce themselves. Richie Garfield, unmute yourself and introduce yourself to the Paradigm Shift audience, bro.
Hey, what's up, everyone? It's Richie Garfield here. Like my brother said, independent black filmmaker, producer, trying to, going to make a full gospel movie, straight word for word. Using characters that, resemble who the disciples, resemble based on ancient paintings and stuff like that. That, basically going to show people that what we think about Christianity or the faith is not as Eurocentric as we, think it should be or what people make it out to be. So I'm just excited, to be on the show and, to have a intelligent conversation with my brother here, Metu the God.
That's peace. Well, really, he needs no introduction to the platform, seeing that he has been a mainstay almost since the beginning. But nevertheless, Metu the God. Introduce yourself, bro.
Peace and blackness, everybody. My name is Metu. I'm a graphic designer, and I'm a comedic Pan-African Garveyite and a saber in the Temple Head of Rule. I'm also a member of the New Black Panther Party and also a member of the Black Collective Movement. And just, I'm here to just disseminate any kind of information, answer any questions that I can, and just learn together.
That's peace. Well, hey, I'm just here to moderate, just to make sure that the show don't get too out of control. But Brother Richie Garfield, the floor is yours, man. Take over the show.
Yeah, so, for my introduction to the conscious community, of course, you're born, you grow up, you're raised. You heard about it from the 70s, from the 60s, or from all that stuff. But my first experience with the conscious community came from a Facebook group called Christian Contradictions. And that was back in 2017. I was invited by a friend of mine from my old job. And what amazed me about the group was that, I always knew that with Christianity, you either believe it or you don't. But I never knew there was a movement to kind of evangelize people from the faith. Like I didn't know it was that serious that like people, I would say, hated the faith so much that like they felt that it was their job to kind of pick and point out all the flaws in the Bible and the faith itself. And it was like a learning experience for me because this I never really got into debates like that on this type of nature when it comes to religion. So it was a big learning curve for me. But I just want to kind of like have a conversation with people from that side of the camp to kind of see what was their transition from the faith, and just ask them some questions about like little details about each stage of the process for them, what led them to the conclusion that Christianity was, some people say it was made up, some people say it was created to enslave Black people or people of color. So that's just my thoughts on that.
Okay, well, bro, go on get it started. Ask me to your first question, and y'all gonna flow from there.
Yeah, so I think I heard a conversation with you guys on the channel before that you used to be a Christian, and that it was certain questions that you were asking that led you, to like a new revelation or a newfound truth. What was those initial questions that you were asking that kind of led you to where you're at today?
Well, what happened was I ended up reading this. It was a phenomenal book. It's called The Book Your Church Doesn't Want You to Read. Is God Dead or Just Your Church? Just the initial title alone of it was like, wow, let me check and see this out. Because I was a devout Christian. I was a minister in the church and in the choir and all that. And as I started to read this book, it started to explain some things. And I had questions about it. Like, who was this guy that they call Serapis? Well, because actually I started off in the Catholic Church. So a lot of the things that I was learning, I heard about it in the Catholic Church. It's just the Catholic Church never went into detail about the Council of Nicaea, the Council of Chalcedon, the Council of Trent, the Council of Constantinople, all the ecumenical council meetings of the Catholic Church. I didn't know in detail about it. All I knew was what they was told me, Constantine was a great man. He did this. No, they never shine light on what really happened. So as I read the book, I started asking questions about what really happened at the Council of Nicaea. Why was there a council meeting? What came out of this meeting? And I started getting answers that people couldn't give me an answer to. And I ended up researching this guy by the name of Apollonius of Tyana. So this guy, Apollonius of Tyana, he looks just like the face of Jesus. So what I ended up doing is I ended up taking that picture, Apollonius of Tyana, to the church. I said, who is this guy right here? Just asking them out of curiosity. And they would say, oh, that's Jesus. I said, nah, this guy. I said, nah, it's not him. And so a lot of things were just a lot of confusion was starting to happen. And I ended up looking at the Bible a little differently. So I started going into the book, and I saw a lot of contradictions as a believer. But as a believer, I just accepted the contradictions. I'm like, well, the Lord works in mysterious ways. I can't question God. So I just live it at that. But I started to go back into it with the questions like, okay, what really happened this day? Is this a historical event? And as I started to search and dig, I started to see a lot of inaccuracies as it relate to Christianity and who did what, where, when, and how. And I got those answers, and that's why I started to I had a bad taste in my mouth as it relate to Christianity, because I see how Europeans use it as a political weapon to enslave people around the world. And as I started to see what was really going on, and like the father of Western Christianity is a brother, black man by the name of Pope Augustine, and what was his life about? What was his life about, and who was these people who sanctioned slavery? And the Catholic Church sanctioned slavery. Now, just end up running to like a book. It's a book called Man, God, and Civilization by John G. Jackson. It's a phenomenal book. And I read a book called 16 Crucified Saviors. And I never knew that there were 16 crucified saviors. I thought that Jesus was the only one. And starting to see where all the stuff was coming from, and I started to see more Europeans was questioning it than Black folk. So I learned about a guy named Jordan Maxwell, and we were breaking down phenomenally, and it's just like, wow, what is this? And come find out a lot of the people who was recreating this thing got their concepts out of the Nile Valley civilization. So I said, other than getting from the copier, let's go to the Nile Valley and see where was the original story. What was they really talking about? What was the culture? What is the history? Because I always would look at the Egyptians were bad people until I realized these were actually Black people. And as I started to study, I ran into the Nation of Islam, and I ran into the 5% Nation of Gods on Earth. All these organizations I never knew existed. I ran into the Hebrew Israelites, but nothing made more sense until I started studying Kemetic philosophy, the Nile Valley contribution to civilization. And that opened my eyes, and then I became a Pan-African. Just the unification of African people around the world, that just became a passion of mine. And that's from there, this is where I'm at now.
Okay. So were you like born into the Christian faith, or was the Christian faith something that you acquired later in your life?
Say it again.
Your Christian faith. Were you born into the Christian faith, or was it something that you acquired later into your life?
Yes, I was raised in the Christian church.
Okay.
I was raised in, actually, as I said before, I started off going to a private Catholic school. So I started in Catholicism. And even though my family was, most of them were Baptist, I went to a Catholic school. That's kind of interesting. I went to a Catholic school. And once I left the Catholic school, I went back to the Baptist church. But I had a lot of questions because a lot of things they teach within Catholicism, they don't teach you in the Baptist church. So I'm going in with the questions like, do y'all know about your Hail Marys? And because actually in the Catholic Church, they worship Mary. They don't worship Jesus. And I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Y'all don't know about purgatory? They said purgatory. They never heard about that. And I got baptized in the Catholic Church. So of course the Baptist church will say I was baptized wrong. I get baptized in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. The Catholics don't know what they're talking about. So I'm like, whoa, I'm glad I know now. Let me get baptized right. So I got baptized in the Baptist church in the name of the Father, Holy Ghost. And as I started to travel within Christianity, the last church I was a part of, it was an apostolic church. And I wanted to join the choir. And they told me, in order for you to join the choir, you had to get baptized. I'm like, I already been baptized. Who baptized you? I said, I was baptized in the Baptist church. All the Baptists are wrong. All that the cliquish type thing. They say, you don't get baptized in the name of the Father, Son, Holy Ghost. You got to get baptized in the name of Jesus. So I got baptized in the name, just all these different initiations. It didn't make sense to me at the time, but I'm like, I don't want to not seem like I don't believe in this stuff. I'm like, okay, if this is what I got to do, it is what it is. Because I've been in gangs as well. I was in a gang. I ain't even going to go into the details of the gang, but it's pretty much the same thing, I didn't get my butt whooped. A lot of people do get in a fight, but I just knew somebody that knew somebody that was like, hey man, put my boy on. So I started seeing a lot of similarities in that. But when I left, because I started getting some bad taste in my mouth when it relates to some people's actions in the church. Because as I said, I was in the choir doing a lot of stuff in the church. I brought a lot of family members, brought pretty much the whole family into the church. And one day my father's house had got burnt up. Me and my brother was living there. And my brother called me while I was on my way home. He was like, hey, bro, our house is on fire. So all our clothes was burnt up. So we basically homeless at this time. I said, wow, man. So we told the pastor of the church, and he literally gave us a bag of dirty clothes, brother. A bag of dirty clothes. Why would you give us a bag of dirty clothes? Like, no, this is as much as we can give you. Out of all we've done for the church, you give us a bag of dirty clothes. I'd rather you not gave us anything.
Okay, Metu, let me cut you off. I think you answered this question with your first
I'm
with
just
your first.
explaining myself.
Right. No. And I want you to continue to do that. But I also want you to leave him the opportunity to kind of lead the questioning so he can make whatever point that he want to make so that you could.
Okay, I apologize. My apologies. I'm kind of long-winded.
Bro, you're my bro. You already know, so you good. Go ahead, Richie. It's all
Yeah, I
about
mean,
you. It's all about you, so you good.
No, you like I was listening to what you're saying, like like I think you pretty much covered your journey, and would you say like when it came to like your distaste for Christianity, you think it came from the Bible itself, or did it come from the people?
It came from the people
Mm.
that believed in it. So it's like, if you believe this and you do this, then let me look at what it is that you believe in.
Mm-hmm.
That's when I start going into the Bible and I start looking at. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute, hold on. Because like when some of the best preachers churches I've been to were churches where the women would be preachers. I love to see female preachers, but in the Bible says a woman shouldn't even talk in church. If she have anything to say, she should say it at home. I said, wow, so those kind of things was started making me question things, and then lo and behold, I just ran across some information that contradicted the belief, and then I just started to just sprout from there.
What about like any personal experience? Like, cause we know that personal experience is not evidence for someone else, but it still count to me, in my opinion, it counts as evidence to self, because like say like if I'm the only one to witness a tree fall, it doesn't mean that the tree didn't fall for you, because I was able to witness it. So have you ever had any personal experience with or any spiritual experience while you was a Christian that made you believe that God was real?
Yes, I've seen a lot of spiritual things that happen, and I just contributed to Christianity. Did not know that it was not Christianity. A lot of times, other cultures will see what African people are doing and say they're Christians. They weren't Christians. Like I have a side of my family that practice Yoruba, the voodoo. So like I got a video, if you would see the video and just if I was to just get rid of the volume of the video, if you see that, you're like, oh, they're just a Baptist church, they just having the Holy Ghost in a Baptist church. But they're not having the Holy Ghost. They're not in a Baptist church. They're had a voodoo ceremony. So people will mistranslate. So a lot of times I would see things and I was like, oh man, there has to be this, because I didn't know anything else. So yeah, I've been through different rituals. I'm like, well, this God, this God thing he's real. Like I've seen spirits. Like I ain't gonna go into. I've seen spirits. And I'm like, wow, look. So I
Like,
would
give
contribute
an
to the
example.
Bible.
I'm interested. Like, give me like one example, like of a spiritual.
Okay, one example, like my grandmother, my great grandmother, when she transitioned, my grandfather transitioned. That was the hardest the Lord ever had. He had turned 60, and the very next day he transitioned. And when he transitioned in 99, my great grandmother transitioned in 2001. So in 2002, I remember just walking one day, and I ended up hearing my great grandmother and my grandfather talking to me. And I'm like, am I making, I'm like, I must be delusional. I must be making stuff up in my head. I'm actually having a convo with my great grandmother. So I'm thinking, okay, man, this is real, because I know what I went through. You know what I'm saying? Because just like you said, if you see something, that's your experience. I can't take away your experience from you. I had that experience. I've had a lot of out of body experiences as well, but I couldn't go to the church telling them like, hey, this is what happened. I couldn't really explain that to them because I would be ostracized. No, you worshiping the devil, or you're making stuff up. The last thing you want to do is tell somebody who know what they've been through to tell them that they're lying. They don't know what they're talking about. See, from the European standpoint, they don't experience that. So that's not. It's like this is what I had learned in my development. The word psychology means the study of the spirit. Okay, the word psyche is spirit. Europeans don't understand spirit, so he made it a mind. But now understanding that the mind is an external working of the spirit. So a white psychologist can never heal white people because he's looking at your mentality, not your spirituality. Because I've had times where, um, give you another great example. My great aunt came to me in my sleep. She came to me when I was in my room. We talked for like 3 hours. She kissed me on my forehead, and I laid down and went to sleep, and she was gone. Now, to a white psychologist, something is wrong with you. But to an African spiritualist person, they'll say, "Oh, okay, I understand that," because that happens to Black people often. It just is called something else.
Interesting. So definitely, you're definitely open that the world, there's a spiritual side to this reality.
Yes,
Definitely open to that. What
absolutely.
about?
I've seen it. I've done spiritual walks with people who have made their transition. I've talked to family members, and so as far as the spiritual aspect of it, it can get real complicated because most people are not in that. They stuck within the construct of the indoctrination.
Mm-hmm. And are you open to that there being a father of spirits, meaning that there is a creator that's like the most high when it comes to spirits? Are you open to that?
Yes, I know the African already knew that. We
Mm-hmm.
had a pre-God religion. We really didn't have a religion. It was we just used that for a lack of because we speak English, so we limited to what we can really say. So yeah, I'm open because we knew that I know I can't start a storm, nor can I end one. I know that I can't control the wind, nor can I control the animals that's in the water. So I know that there is a higher power that do exist. It's just now that I know better, I no longer contributed to this Christian indoctrination.
Mm-hmm. So you don't believe that Yahweh from the Old Testament is the creator of this universe no more?
No,
Okay, I mean that's fair. That's fair. But so you're not like a atheist where like you don't you believe that just this universe came by natural causes. Like
no,
you're open to like there being a father or a higher being that created this whole universe.
no. I'm just well. This go into the etymology. The word atheist don't mean you don't believe in God. It just means you don't believe in a prescribed God of the state. Because the first people that the Romans called atheists were Christians. 'Cause at the time, the Roman Church was worshiping Mithra. If you didn't worship Mithra, you worship anything else, they would call you an atheist. So it don't mean that you don't believe in God. You just didn't believe in one of that
Yeah,
particular state.
yeah. Because
So
even Christians were called atheists in the first century too.
absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. But
yeah.
people think atheists mean you don't believe in God. That's because they're ignorant of etymology.
If I can step in for a second, if I can step in on this particular topic, the first atheist, what Metu said is true. The first atheists were people who did not believe in the God of that culture, whatever that
Mm-hmm.
God may be. Now, if we update the definition of atheist, because words get different meanings over time. Now, you know how you have 2 or 3 bulletin points for the same word. The original bulletin is under the third bulletin point, where Metu just described. Now, atheism in our modern terms does mean a person who don't or lacks the belief in any God, regardless of what God that is. So I just
Well,
want
I
to put
mean,
it
even if and I
right, and you was
and you're
half right.
right. See, you're
Okay,
right. But what I'm saying is
this
when you
between y'all,
study.
Metu. I don't want me and you to have our good conversation. This between y'all. So I just want to jump
Okay,
in
no,
for
no,
that.
no. What I'm saying is what you're saying is true. But when you study etymology, you don't study what it is now. You study what it
Right.
was.
That's why I said,
Yeah.
Metu. That's why I said what you said was true. They fall under the third bulletin point, which the third bulletin point of atheism would be the first meaning. So you was right too. Yeah, you were right.
Okay.
Okay, yeah. So I a lot of stuff I was just like, whoa, and I studied etymology real heavy. I'm a linguistic, and I just started to see like where did these words come from? Where did just like the word Hebrew? It comes from the word haribu, Haribu. A lot of people don't know that. It was a verb before it became a noun. See, when you look at the root of it, because I call it.
Metu, don't make Cap try to join the panel now. We ain't gonna. We don't go to Hebrew.
I mean, but it's true. What I'm saying, anything I say, you can just backed off of information. Because I don't judge nothing. It's like you can't judge a river by the fact that you're looking at it. Where did this river come from? It came from somewhere, but a lot of people don't want to question things because we can go through what's known as in psychology is called cognitive dissonance. And cognitive dissonance is basically what reality and what you believe has had a head-on collision. So people don't want to question that. It's just like finding out this whole time your mom ain't your mom. You can have a problem with that. Like, wait a minute.
No, I'm with you on that, bro. Some people do have cognitive dissonance. You could be showing them that 1 + 1 = 2. And like the conversation you heard earlier, they'll still be saying, and well, that's your truth. That ain't my truth. But go ahead, Richie, man. Go ahead from next.
So the church that you belong to, like where you had these people that, like you said, treated you a certain way, was it a black church or was it like a white church?
It was a black church. It was a black church.
Okay,
black churches are not segregated, so it was a black and white church. The only segregated churches are the white churches. Black churches are not segregated. They allow white people to come in.
But it was the admin was like black though, like administration on the church. There were black people, right?
Say it again.
The administration on the church, so was black people.
Right.
Okay. So, because I asked that, I wanted to see if it was like the white church, because obviously now I want to get into like the whole so-called quote unquote whiteness of Christianity. Do you believe that there were Christians in the first century or people that believed in a Messiah figure?
Yes, absolutely. It didn't have nothing to do with Jesus, though.
Okay.
Because Christianity is older than Jesus.
Okay.
The early people, the early believers of Buddha were called Christians. It had nothing to do with Jesus. The people who worship Serapis were called Christians. It had nothing to do with Jesus. So Christianity is older than Jesus.
Yeah, I'll have to fact check that myself. I really can't comment on that right there. But I know the word Christian, to me, like from my earliest reference to Christianity or Christians was in the Bible in Acts. Christianos, from the Greek word.
Right. The word Christian, the word Chris comes from Krishna. The Hindus worship a deity named Krishna, Hare Krishna. So that's where you get the word Christ from. But even go a little further when you go into the Nile Valley, because every culture had a Christ or Messiah figure. That's why there's a phenomenal book. It's called Christianity Before Christ.
So you believe the word Christos comes from from the Indian dialect? Because Christos is Greek. Like Christos is the Greek word.
Well, the Greeks learned Greek in Egypt. So nothing that's in Greece came from Greece. It came from the Nile Valley.
What about Krishna? Because Krishna is Indian, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Right. But I'm not going to honestly say that they are the stockholders of the word, because other cultures had a Christ. They just didn't pronounce it that way.
Okay. So, all right. So, okay. But you do believe that there were Christians that believe in a man named Yeshua or Jesus in the Greek in that first century?
Yes.
So, do you believe they were white people or what kind of race of people do you think they were?
Well, race is a man-made construct, so I wouldn't say.
Or culture. Yeah, culture.
Right.
Let's say culture. Right. What culture do you think they were?
Ethnicity, black.
Okay. So.
Well, African, it's.
Now, fast forward now, I think a lot of like our, especially our people and stuff like that, our experience with the slave trade and all that stuff. We see that the slave traders were Christians. And now to bring to what you said, like, you said it was the people in the church that turned you off from Christianity. So in a sense, when you see people who follow a book but they act in a certain way.
Yeah,
You know,
see,
it
the
will
thing
kind of
with the slave trade, they saw no contradiction in being slave traders and Christians at the same time, because they teach you one thing and do something else. So because honestly, from my research, they weren't Christians. They just used Christianity as a justification to do that to people. But they weren't Christians, just like the Arabs are not Muslim.
If
The
I could drop a
Jews
bomb
don't
right
practice
now, I
Judaism.
would. Boom, boom, to what Metu said. Go ahead, bro.
No, because the thing is, like, the Jews don't practice Judaism. They practice what's known as Zionism. The reason why the Jews converted to Judaism is because they didn't. It was a war between the Christians. I mean, this the whole story. It was a war between the Christians and the Muslims. They didn't want to be caught as by the Muslims, and they didn't want to be converted to Christians. So they chose Judaism as a religion. But the word Jew is not a people. It's like for me to say culturally I'm a Christian. Christian is not a people. It's a belief system. So people just so that's the whole another thing with that.
Okay. So when it comes to like the Bible now,
Okay.
if like a person was to follow all of the New Testament, and the reason why I'm saying the New Testament because you got verses in the Old Testament talk about how to treat slaves and stuff like that. So
Right.
there's a lot of a concern that why did God allow slavery to exist in the first place. But okay, let's go to the New Testament now. Like you have Jesus saying you have heard it says eye for a tooth for a tooth. So he definitely comes from the Old Testament, but he's saying but I say unto you. So in a way it's he's fulfilling that law and now laying the new law, the law of Christ. Do you think that if people were to follow the law of Christ fully, would there be a slave trade?
Repeat that one more time.
Like the New Testament, let's just say the 4 Gospels, right? Jesus Christ, all the words he said, how we should treat people, how we should treat God, all that stuff, how we look at the world through our heart. If we used to follow all the teachings of Christ, would there be a slave trade?
That depends on the people that depends on who chooses to believe in it or not. Because
if I believed in every word that Jesus said, right? So I'm following every word that Jesus said. Would it make me justify a slave trade, like how the Europeans did it?
Right. You got two sides. You have the oppressed and the oppressor. So both of them are not going to see that as the same translation. One says you can do this, the other one says take that and accept it. So it depends on who's interpreting it.
Okay, this is where my moderation step in there. Okay, I get what you're saying, Metu, but that's moving the goalpost. What he's saying is just based off the teachings of Jesus alone. Let's take the Old Testament out of it and let's just read every word that's in red inside the New Testament, which is Jesus. He's saying if somebody was just going based off what Jesus said, would that justify the transatlantic slave trade? Or do you think that there would be slavery based off of what Jesus said?
Yes.
Okay, yes. Richie, his answer was yes.
Okay. So like when Jesus says things like, if a man want to take your coat, right? Let him have it, right? So I'm a slave trader now. I believe in this book. Or I'm supposed to be a slave trader. I'm believing this book. But it's telling me that if someone, wants to take my jacket, I'm supposed to give it to him, right? So that means that if I don't want that to happen to me, I'm not supposed to do it to anybody else. So why would I go to a land and steal people if I don't want people to steal my people? That's what we basically what Jesus was saying. Like, he said that if a man wants you to walk 1 mile, go 2 miles, right? So in a sense, it's like he's given mankind a servant heart. So how could that justify slavery?
Because, all right, let's go back to what you just said. If the Bible says, if a man takes your coat, give it to him. Mm-hmm. Okay, I don't want to be the man that has his coat took. Mm-hmm. So let me be the man that takes the coat. You grab so there's 2 people. So you're gonna either be the man who got his coat taken from him, or you're gonna be the man who had the coat.
But remember,
so identify with one for either one. I'm gonna be the guy who take the coat, and it's justified for me taking this coat, or I'm gonna be the man who has the coat taken from him.
Let's just say that you just believe that every word of Christ is correct, and that the only way you could get through life is if you was to obey His word. So if you like believe that, how could that basically make you want to be a coat taker if He's basically telling you, let a man have your coat if he wants it? Like, how does that justify you? Because remember in your mind you believe in Jesus alone right now. Like, you don't care about any other world philosophy. You're saying that the words of Christ is what's going to get me into the kingdom. It's what's going to get me resurrected from the dead. It's what's going to make me pass from death onto life. This is what you believe in your mind. So, like, if I believe that, and He's saying these things in the Gospels, like, why would I want to go take a man's coat then if I don't want that to happen to me? Because my master is telling me that I'm supposed to let this man take it then. But I don't want that. You know what I'm saying? Nobody wants their coat taken. You know what I'm saying?
Right. No, what I'm saying, if I believe that, I don't want nobody to take my coat. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to give him my coat. But if I think differently, if I'm coming from a culture of a people who are robbers or stealers and rapists and exploiters, when I hear that, well, I'm going to be the man that's going to take the coat from him because he ain't taking mine.
So you think that basically a person could read his Bible, right? And look at that and say, you know what? Because what you just said, right? I don't want anybody to take my coat, so I'm going to go take their coat. Don't you think that goes against what, they're going against their master now?
Right, it does. But it's still a justification of doing wrong. They're not saying don't steal nobody's coat. It's saying if somebody wants yours, give it to them. It's still justifying someone taking your coat. It's like when they say God is coming like a thief in the night. Why would you use that as a rationale? Like a thief? Like, really, you couldn't have came up with something else than a thief? You gonna come like a thief? Really? Then I'm gonna treat you as a thief when you come in.
That's funny. I don't even want to go talk about that right now.
I was on mute. I'm sorry. I was on mute, but I laughed too. Metu, that was
a good one. But I mean, I think that's kind of different for what we say. Like, I don't want to kind of go off tangent with that right there. But all right, let me give it
all the Bible is, no matter what wrong you decide to do, it's justified in the Bible. Slave, obey your master. The slave master read the same thing the slave did.
All right, so let's talk about that scripture. Let's talk about that scripture. It says, slaves or servants, however you want to put the word, regardless. It says, obey your master and everything, right? What's the verse after that, though?
I don't know.
It says, masters, treat your servants as yourself.
Okay.
So basically, the European was to follow the Bible, right? That means that, all right, these are my slaves, but hold on. They're supposed to be on my level. So I'm not supposed to have him out in the field picking cotton or, treating him that way because I'm reading the full scripture. You know what I'm saying?
That's true.
It's funny because there was a Bible that was given to Black people called the Slave Bible, right? And in that Bible, they took out those verses. They just had the verse that says that, slave, obey your master. And they took out that verse. And guess what? They took out the whole Old Testament that shows that the Jews were slaves. Because you know why? They didn't want the slaves to identify themselves with people in the book.
That's a fact. See, but the thing is, when you in power, you do what you want to do. It's like the swastika is a spiritual symbol. But if I see my family die with that symbol on someone that's killing my family, I don't care about the spiritual science of it. All I know is whenever I saw that, I saw death. Mm-hmm. So whenever I think of this Bible, it was a justification. They didn't use the Bible. A lot of the Europeans were ignorant. They couldn't read. But it was a justification, just like the movie, The Book of Eli. They were looking for the Bible. One of the guards was like, it's just a book, because he got people killing to get this book. The man said, it's not just a book. It's a weapon used. It's a weapon used to control the minds of the weak and the desperate. All I need is the book. They can't read it anyway. All I need to do is say, hey, it's in this book, and it's just whatever I do, it's going to be justified. That's what the Book of Eli is about. A man trying to justify doing people wrong.
Yeah, but you see that though in the Book of Eli, though, right? That he just wanted the book.
That's all he wanted.
What he's going to do with the book, he was not going to make the people read it. to keep it to himself,
Right.
and basically use that. Because there's something about this Bible when you really look at it too. Like there's something about this Bible that is so powerful. It's kind of like a double-edged sword.
Right.
And if the wrongs of the wrong hand, it could oppress people.
That's true.
But in the hands of the right man, it could free people.
That's true.
So, back to the point now of like, if people was to follow like the whole New Testament, the words of Christ, and then now you mentioned like, Ephesians when it comes to slavery, right? And if you look at that, slavery always existed, even before, Moses existed, before Abraham came. Slavery was just an institution of man, right?
Well, that depends on what is slavery. Because there's a difference between an indentured servant and a slave.
Well, look at that too now. Like, and I think too with what you said right there, the difference of slavery. A lot of the time, people think that the slavery in the Bible is talking about the slavery of the transatlantic slave trade, and even the Jews were prohibited from stealing people. So there's no way that the Old Testament could justify the transatlantic slave trade, if you look at it that way. But that's how like ancient Egypt, ancient Kemet had slaves too, but their slavery was they had different levels of slavery. I'm not trying to paint Egypt as a bad, in a bad way, as some people think. And even the Bible don't paint Egypt in a bad way. But that's a whole nother tangent. But there's no justification in the Bible of the transatlantic slave trade. Like what happened there was that, this culture has the Bible, but if you look at it, we in America, like I was talking to my brother earlier before, when we look at our Christian history, we only trace it through like the European lineage, where there have been 3 other sectors of Christianity, especially like the Ethiopian church out there, that they basically been a Christian nation before the European nations. Because remember, you think about the Europeans that were participating in the slave trade. That was like the British, the Spaniards, the Portuguese, and the Dutch. Those cultures, those people didn't exist until way after Constantinople, way after those cultures, by the Byzantine Empire. These were Germanic people that basically were never Christians. But meanwhile, Africa was Christian. They were a Christian nation in 400 AD because it started in the first century when basically Philip converted the eunuch, right? So, to me, in my opinion, when it comes to when people say that this is the white man's religion, if you only follow their history, you know what I'm saying? That's like saying when we was taught in high school, we was taught that Columbus discovered America. That is true for them. You know what I'm saying? For them, Columbus discovered America. And this is why we basically think it was a lie, because we do not realize we're getting their history to us because we're now all American. So they wanted to make a curriculum where it's like, all right, we're not, you guys are not African no more. They're not English no more. We're all American. So they want to kind of unite the people. But they didn't realize that, they shouldn't do it. They should kind of tell the whole truth. I remember one time I was in high school and we going through American history, European history. And one of my friends in school raised his hand, was like, we're all the black people when all this was happening. And all my teacher said was, Africa. And that was it. We never got no history of African history or what happened, not knowing that all the history started from that region. You know what I'm saying? And the Bible documents that perfectly.
Right, look at it I'm saying it like this. It's like if a woman was raped by a man and she says, I don't trust men, you cannot get mad at her. You have to understand what she has been through. So when black people say, I don't want to deal with that Bible, because I've seen what it done to my people. I've seen my grandmother go through this. I've read. So we can't get mad at people to say, I don't want to deal with that at all. I'd rather start off with something else. I don't even want to go into, where it really came from, the origin of it, because it has caused me so much harm. We have to be like, okay, I understand. It's like if someone who's seen their brother or their sister get shot in the face with a gun, they have some type of feeling about that gun. I can't get mad that you don't like it because I don't know what you have been through. So when people say, I don't want to deal with that. Okay, I respect that because you have some hurt that happened to you. In order, but you have to be able to build that trust up with them with it. But you can't just be like, okay, you gotta accept this because you got the misinterpretation.
Yeah.
They don't want to deal with it. Be like, okay, you have to be honest with yourself. Like if you want people to accept it, you gotta say, you know what? I have to have a different approach because something happened to this person to make them not even want to. Something happened to this woman where she was raped by a man. Okay, let me show her a better version of a man, but I have to approach her differently because the scars on her are deeper than what I even know.
And I 100% agree with you right there. 100% agree. And I think too, like even the church too, needs more compassion in that sense, because sometimes we come too hard with our theology and our philosophies and everything else, and it's like sometimes we don't realize that, like, all people is hurting out here. But at the same time too,
just like in my situation, I was homeless, and you gave me a bag of clothes. Now I don't trust nobody that believe in that now. I might still be a believer, but I now have some disenchantment with it because I was done wrong by the same people who say they believe in it too. So when you say you believe it, now I'm a little hostile, which I'm like, okay, you just like them. So you have to be like, you know what? I apologize for them. Let me show you. You gotta approach it a little different.
And like, so I will ask you to, what would you think the church needs to do, the black church, or not the black church? Let me say the church, because we gotta stop, using these colors, the 18th century. What would you say the church have to do?
Let me stop you right there. This is a pro-black channel, so even though you and I know,
you know what it is. You know what it is. When I say that, because like I'm coming from the I'm about to say like when it comes to this whole colorization of thing, because there are plenty of white people in history that have done good for white people, for black people too as well. Just in case you got any like white listeners too, I don't want to kind of like exclude them out the conversation. But yeah, this is a pro-black channel, definitely.
Richie, I definitely know where you're coming from. You already know that.
Yeah. But yeah, so like, what would you say like the church has to do?
What I would say the church needs to do, first they have to be honest with people, because people already see you as a liar, see you as a deceiver, see you as an exploiter, as a thief. You now have to be honest. You gotta be like, you know what? In order for me to fix this, some honesty, I have to show them different. Not tell them, let me show them. So there has to be a level of honesty. You have to rebuild your rapport with people, because you can't expect them to now just trust you now at all they done seen happen. Just like what I went through, and then you're gonna say, I want you to go and come on to the church. We're gonna show you different. Nah. Nah, I don't trust you. I have to be able to trust. Even like with this vaccine that's going on, I have to trust you in order to give you my bloodline. You want to stick this in my blood. I got to be able to trust you. If I don't trust you, you can't get mad at me.
So, all right. So if you look at the Christian mindset, right? We as Christians, our mindset believes that basically they're gonna, once we die, then there's judgment and stuff. So, if a person believes that if we die, we're gonna be judged by the Father of Spirits, can you be mad at that person for having a sense of urgency to try to get you back into the truth? But look, and I definitely understand, like, yeah, we still have to approach it with like some compassion and everything. But the same thing when you mentioned that the lady that had been raped by men and she had a hard time trusting men. But we know that the reality and the truth is that not all men are like the men she experienced. So in the true reality, outside of her experience and her feelings, the true reality that exists, that men would take care of her and love her like she should be loved. Right, but basically, she's in her experience, and I definitely understand that, because like we all go through that ourselves when we go through our personal things. Like we all are a slave to our experience, but yet there's an outside reality. Like we think about our lives ourselves. Like there's things we go through in our past, and it's like we tend to like always think about the past and always live in the past. And when we do that, we kind of are still in that feeling of that past event. Meanwhile, the world is moving on. The world is moving on, moving forward, but we stuck in that past event, right? But when you look at the gospel now, the freedom it brings people, Jesus said, like, if you put your hand to the plow, you're not fit for this kingdom if you look back. You can't put your hand on the plow when you're looking back, because you're not gonna see where you're going. So, Christianity demands that we, let go of the past and move forward. Do you think that's something that our people need in this day and age?
No, because you can't just expect people who have been through so much to just get over it. That it's scars. Like I have a lot of emotional scars still to this day because of family. Only way I can get that fixed is my family. Can nobody come in and fix that?
So what if they don't fix it then?
In order for a woman who have been treated wrong by men to get over that, a man has to show her different. Until that, she gonna still carry that.
So even though like she will carry that, right? But we know, like, okay, we on the outside, we're not in her experience. We know the truth that there are men that exist that will never do that to her. So yes, we understand where she's coming from. We're not gonna force her or push her. But we would love that if she'll be able to, like, pass that barrier to come into true reality of like what's, not to label all men as evil.
Right. But that's gonna take patience. You have to be patient with her because I understand. See, just like where I'm at now in my development, I'm about understanding more than being understood. So I have to understand where you're coming from because people. One thing I learned is people don't care. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. If you come off arrogant, then that's the energy that they're gonna see with you. So I'm like, okay, so you have to approach it real gently because people like myself and many others have been hurt by the church. People have been exploited. I remember a sister. She was literally sleeping outside of a church. They would literally step over this woman and go inside and have church while she's sleeping outside. They didn't say, "Hey, won't you come on in? What's wrong? Is anything all right?" I was seeing them having church. I was already out of the church by then, but I would literally see them walk past this woman while she's sleeping outside the church.
Okay. If I can interject for a second, okay, Metu, this is the premise of what he's asking you, broken down, and I'm pretty sure you're probably gonna answer that a different way. What he's saying is, if the first person that told you 1 + 1 = 2, if the first person that told you that somehow, let's just say, molested you or whatever, and now you don't want to believe that 1 + 1 = 2 anymore because the first person that told you that did something wrong to you.
Right.
Now, even though what that person did wrong to you, it doesn't stop 1 + 1 from equaling 2.
That's
it don't
true.
matter what that person did. Okay, so what he's saying is based off of your testimony tonight, since you said that you left the church based off of how people treated you, not necessarily the doctrine. So not this whole show
came later. The doctrine did come, but it was later.
Not this whole show, but this particular subject that y'all having right now. You've given reasons why people shouldn't believe, as in, okay, this lady may have had a bad husband or a bad boyfriend or whatever. But if it's true that 1 + 1 = 2, your experience with the person who told you that doesn't change that the answer is still 2. So pretty much what he's asking is, based off of your testimony of being church hurt, if, notice I'm just saying if, bro, I'm just saying if the Bible is true, based off of your testimony of what people done to you, that would be no reason for you not to believe in the Bible just because those people who done that to you don't take away from 1 + 1 still being 2.
Right. See, but what I'm saying is, what I went through made me run into the truth of Christianity.
I want you to say that, but Garfield, did I represent you right on that?
I mean, you said it perfect.
Now, what I'm saying is, what I went through made me research Christianity, and that's what the mommy finding out the history of Christianity made me just leave it all together. They pushed me out they pushed me out to the truth. Had they would have just kept embracing me, I might not have learned all the stuff that I know now.
Okay, I feel you on that. Now, I get what you're saying. You're saying that, yeah, you were never even questioning the doctrine at first.
I wouldn't question the doctrine at all.
Hold on, wait. I'm gonna do you just how I did Garfield, bro. You know I'm fair, and you can tell me if I misrepresented you after I get to saying this. So what you're saying is you weren't even looking into the doctrine at first.
Nope.
It was the way the people treated you that made you go look into the doctrine and then be like, okay, well, I'll listen to BS.
Right. Absolutely.
Okay. Go ahead, Richie.
Because
So-
I was a believer. So I had questions, but once the people that treated me wrong, if they use this as a justification, let me check out what they really believe in. Because it's obvious not the same thing that I believe. I would have still to this day, I would never treat nobody like that who has been doing me well. If I have a church, I'm just saying looking at the help that the church can give. I'll be like, let's take up an offering for this family. Let's do something for them. Let's put our money together. Let's save up for a month and put these young men somewhere where they can be safe. Let's do something. We can open up the church. Y'all can come stay here until y'all father. Until some situation. I would have never done that to anybody.
But what about the churches that do that though, Mitch? Now I get your experience, but what about churches like mine who do open up the doors and do help people find
that's fine.
I'm only saying that to say that goes back to if the true message of God, which we know that since you said that you were the minister, then I know that you know the scripture too. Jesus was talking to the people and the followers of that day, and he was like, "Hey, I was hungry, and you gave me nothing to eat. I ain't had nowhere to stay, and you gave me shelter. I was all this." And then once I replied, "Hey, Jesus, when did we see you hungry and didn't give you nothing to eat? And when did we see you, needing the shelter and didn't give you nowhere to stay?" And Jesus was like, "Well, what you do for these people, you're doing it for me." So again, if the message of Jesus is saying, "Hey, y'all should let these people in, y'all should feed these people," and then you come across a church who didn't feed you and didn't let you into their building when you needed somewhere to go, they are not following the teachings of Christ. So that goes back to what Richie was saying about the slavery thing and the message. If what Jesus is saying in the Bible, if his word is in red, if people are not following that, first off, they're not Christians. So if they call themselves Christians, such as such as what happened in the transatlantic slave trade, if we just follow the words of Jesus Christ, and I'm sorry for taking us back, but like Garfield said, if we just follow the words of Jesus Christ, just like we did on that message, do you believe that it would still be slavery or the transatlantic slave trade? Because just like the analogy you gave, people are not even following the words of Jesus Christ. But if we follow the words of Jesus Christ, half those people who claim to be Christians, we would know that they weren't Christians in the first place. But I'm sorry, Garfield, this your show, man. I'm sorry.
I mean, see, this is the thing. My problem is this: Black people believe in Christianity, white people don't. So it's not about us believing it. We believe in we outdo this thing more than they do. We out the Pope and out Muhammad. But no matter where you go on the face of this planet, where the black-white dynamic exists, you see the white on the top and the black on the bottom.
Metu, you're going hard tonight, bro. Hey, Richie, go ahead, bro. Metu, you dropping bombs. If I had a bomb machine, I'll be dropping some bombs for you tonight, man. But go ahead, Richie, bro.
I'm just saying. See, it's not about trying to convince black folk. We believe in this.
Oh no, I got you, bro.
Now that I know the history, this is what I'm saying. Now that I know the history, and someone was to try to do right within the church, I'd accept the right, but your doctrine is still wrong. It's like
the doctrine is still wrong.
Like it's just like, for an example, Al Capone was killing, raping, and stealing from people, but he would give out turkeys. He would pay people rent. You're still a bad person. I don't care what good you do. At the end of the day, you still robbing, stealing. You still selling dope to the community.
Right.
I can't look past all the fact, he paid my rent. He's a good guy. He just killed your daughter down the street.
Now, I got you, man. I got you.
So no matter how much good that the churches might do, look at the history. What they say, let me see the Carfax.
Yeah. No, I want you to go into a dialogue with me. I want to move forward with the show, so Richie can ask you whatever the question is. Go ahead, Richie, man.
No, I think the listeners too, like Metu, your journey. I think it resonates with a lot of people. Like they've probably been through some similar experience where, first it was like, seeing the people that's supposed to represent the book not representing. And then it has you looking at the doctrine now to say, okay,
Right.
it still makes
Right.
sense. This still makes sense. I've been blinded by, being raised up in this thing. I never really questioned it. So I think, I guess for part 2 of this session, like, let's go into the doctrine now. Of course, there's so many things we could talk about. So I would say, what was the one in particular that made you say, like, man, the Bible is made up. This ain't no real book. Like, which in particular can you think in your mind that really points out to you?
Well, in the Bible?
Yeah, like which story or something in the Bible that made, when you started looking at the doctrine now, what made you think, like, man, this book is a man-made book?
Oh, I mean, okay, start at the beginning. Adam and Eve had 2 sons, Cain and Abel. Cain killed Abel and was banished to the land of Nod. He found a wife and got married. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. Hold on. Where did this city come from? How you go from 4 people to 3 people to a whole city with a name?
He say chapter 1. He ain't even, man, say that's lit. He didn't even go through that. He say the first story. Okay, go
First
ahead.
story.
Go ahead.
Just the beginning was crazy. I'm like, whoa, wait a minute. How you is the it went that's what it said. He went to the city of Nod. They didn't say that, and also look at what it said. It didn't say he found a single woman and married her and made him his wife. He found a wife. That means that she was already married. That's adultery in the beginning, right? But we don't question that.
Okay, Garfield, go ahead, man. He hit the man.
Okay, you went to the. So he said, let's go to the beginning, like the first book chapter. Then since we're talking about the beginning, right? Genesis chapter 1, the creation of the. So basically, Genesis chapter 1 is talking about that this God created the world we live in, the universe, everything that we see. And if you look at ancient cultures in that time period, I would say that, we didn't have a full understanding of the universe, how it operated. You look at ancient Kemet or Sumeria, they believed that the sun was a personification of a god, that, like, Amun-Ra, took the sun across a chariot across the sky, right, every day. But here you got, like, these, this subculture now, which is basically, you have these big cultures, the Hindu civilizations, the Mesopotamia, Egypt, or Kemet, what you want to call it. They're doing big things, they're building structures, they're building governments, everything. But yet you have this little nomad of people coming up saying, like, nah, they ain't no gods. They were created by gods. Why? And every culture too, like, not just them, you can look at, like, cultures all over, like, they all believe that, like, for instance, you've heard of the world turtle, where basically they believe that the earth was created on the back of a turtle.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
So you have all these cultures believing into this cosmology that's like, okay, gods are in control of everything, but the Bible talks about, God created these things. So now you look at scientific research side, we have observation that there is no gods controlling the sun, none of that stuff. Isn't that profound that, like, biblical cosmology still stands the test of time even today?
Yeah.
Like it says in the beginning.
People been misinterpreting information. It's just like what we talked about earlier. People can misinterpret it. 1 + 1 equals something else, but at the end of the day, it's not gonna change. The answer is gonna still be the same. You can rationalize it all you want. You can take the plus sign and make it 2 1s and say 1 + 1. That's, what I'm saying, that's 1 plus. The plus is a 2. That's 3 + 1, and the equal sign is 2. You can justify all you want, but at the end of the day, it's still 2.
And now to your thing about, like, let's go to the Adam and Eve and Cain and Abel. Where did he get his wife? And a lot of people ask that question too, like, where did Cain get his wife? So obviously, people's writing, some people, scribes are writing this down, either listening to Moses or Moses himself. That's the tradition behind it. So I would think, all right, if I'm reading this right, if I'm writing a book of fiction, right, my point is to basically, make sure everything connects, because I want to make sure people get the story. So I'm writing something and I'll read something. I'll probably be like, maybe I should explain where this wife come from. You know what I'm saying?
But if
But the
you're a
fact is,
believer, you don't need to explain to a believer. They're going to believe it, no matter how crazy it sounds. Because I had questions before. I'm like, you know what? The Lord works in mysterious ways, so I'm not gonna. I did a painting of Jonah in the Job? Was it Jonah in the big fish?
Jonah.
yeah.
Okay, it didn't say whale, it said big fish. I did a painting of that and got a reward. But as I thought about it years later, looking at it, I'm like, whoa, how did this man get in the stomach of this big fish and was sitting? I mean, the painting had him sitting down with a lantern lit in the stomach of a fish. Yeah, I didn't question. I said, you know what, the Lord. See, because one thing I realized is that the biggest recruiter of Christianity is the devil. If there was no devil concept, a lot of people will leave, but you're like, I don't have to go to hell and deal with that. So some people say, I'd rather live in hell than to die and go to hell. Because the devil is this, the devil is that. And once I got over that hump, I was free to start looking at other things and start exploring all the different, because the thing is, if you only know one religion, you know none.
So Metu, are you denying that other Christians, just every Christian just in the world, don't know other religions, so they only believe in Christianity because they don't know other religions?
Yep. Say it again.
Are you saying that out of all the Christians that are in the world, and Christian is the biggest belief system in the world, are you saying that all Christians are only Christians because all they know is Christianity?
No, I can't speak for all Christians.
Okay. I was just asking. I don't need you to go in detail. Go ahead, Rich. I was just asking.
Yeah, I'm not going to spend too much time on this Cain and Abel thing, but in Genesis chapter 5, it does say that Adam and Eve, they had sons and daughters. So like Cain, reason why I only mentioned Cain and Abel, because there was the point to be told that first murder. So when you notice about the Bible likes to get to the point, because when you ever I don't know if you ever read like certain papers and stuff, like when you go to school and stuff, you have to type a paper, you have to make sure you cite your references, like APA format and stuff like that. And when you look at the Bible, like you see them citing other books, like Genesis talk about wasn't this written in the book of the war, the wars of the Lord? So it's like it shows you that the scriptures we have now is like a compilation of other material other books. So it's like when you look at how it's written now, it kind of makes sense now not to include all these other details, like where they basically because they're trying to get to the point to Moses now. Like, we're going to get to Genesis, we're going to get through the history real quick. Like, if you look at Genesis chapter 1, you have the creation of a whole universe where we measure to be billions of years, and you got it in one chapter. You know what I'm saying? So, of course, God is not going to talk about the creation of atoms or the creation of, neutrinos and stuff like that. Like, they're going to talk about this basic stuff. So, I don't think,
what's interesting is there are scriptures in the Bible that mentions books that are not in the Bible.
Yeah, definitely. Of course.
And it makes you think, like, wait a minute, where is this book? Am I reading an incomplete book?
But I mean, to me, that's integrity though, because it's like I said, when a scientific research paper, they gotta cite your references to make it valid, to make it peer reviewed. Like that's, to me, that makes it more valid, because like you're citing your material now. You're not plagiarizing.
Right,
and then people probably hear me say that and will laugh. They probably like, oh well, the Bible is a big plagiarizing of Egypt, but I don't think so. I think the logic behind the Bible matches what we see, because even like now when people talk about the comparisons of the Bible or Christianity to like other religions, right? Let's look at the logic now of like Noah and his sons. The Bible's talking about the whole world's wiped out, and now you have Noah, his 3 sons and his 3 wives, and Noah's wife. And from these sets of people is where we get all of Samaria, all of Egypt. All of these people come from Noah and his 3 sons. So
and that's even silly.
So if like must have been like a common knowledge between Noah and his sons, right? So wouldn't you expect in like reality now to kind of see maybe a similarity of people's belief systems. Like you look at the Sumerian creation story, there's a lot of similarities within the Genesis creation story. And to me, that don't faze me because I should expect that because, you know, the Bible talks about Noah and his 3 sons. Obviously, down the line, their descendants, you know, knew a similar story. But then, like, you know, because they wanted to control the masses, they wanted to make it their own. So I should expect to see similarities that are kind of similar amongst the cultures. But yet, you know, the Hebrew religion sets itself apart because, like, it don't assign gods to nature. It don't assign gods to the sun. It only assign one God that created everything and let it be because he said that he rested on the 7th day. So that means that it doesn't mean that God just stopped doing things in life because even Jesus says, you know, my Father is always working. But what it means is that we should expect that, like, if God rests from creation now, right? We should expect.
There's no monotheism.
I want to be fair. God, let Metu go. Go ahead, Metu.
I said there's no monotheism in the Bible.
Oh wow.
When you say stuff like "Don't worship no God but me," where's the monotheism in that?
Mm.
It said don't worship no other gods if there's only one.
Richie, do you believe in the Trinity?
For me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I believe, you know, unless there's another explanation for the Godhead, I think it's the best explanation, yeah.
No, you already know. I shouldn't be able to. Okay, so Metu kind of got a point right there. I just want to see how you gonna get out of this. Go ahead, Richie.
I mean, like I say, see, when it comes to the doctrine of the Trinity, I don't want to get too deep into that, but you know, I don't see the doctrine of the Trinity. How I view it, I don't try to see it as trying to explain how God is his physical nature. I just know that there's a Holy Spirit. I know that there's a Word, the Son, and I know there's a Father, and that I know that they're distinct.
But everything in nature has an explanation, but God, and that doesn't make sense to me.
What do you mean?
Everything in nature has there's a reason why there's tides. There's a reason why the trees are growing. There's a reason why seasons change. There's a reason why temperature change. There's a reason why people's mind change. But yet God has no, you know, you can't question God when it comes to certain things, but just like when they talk about how the flooding, that's silly.
No, wait a minute.
To sit back and say that God gonna flood the whole world, but yet didn't put none of the whales, none of the bears. He got animals that live in water.
Metu. I know
all this stuff comes from other stories because the word Holy Bible comes from the word Helios Biblius, which means the book of the sun. Is because it comes from the paper that comes from a place called Biblius.
Metu, hold on. Wait a minute, Metu.
So
I know you're not doing
this is a combination of books
Richie,
that they took from different cultures. Just like English. The English language is a gumbo language. It's a little bit of this, a little bit of that, a little bit of this. Christianity is we need to just read straight history. Read Mein Kampf tomorrow and read the Bible.
Okay. I had to mute him real quick. I want him to change subjects, and I want to stay on the same subject. So I'm gonna take him off mute real quick. Hopefully he can hear me real quick. Metu, can you hear me? Metu, can you hear me? Take yourself off mute, bro. Metu, come on back, bro. Where he go?
I don't know if he could hear you from before. Maybe he didn't hear you when you was
Yeah. I don't think he probably heard me. He could have had his ear away from whatever device he's using. He was going into another subject, and I just didn't want him to change subjects real quick. And I wanted y'all to stay on that topic, so I was going to ask the question.
Yeah, I haven't got the topic he was on. To be honest with you, like because he changed it up.
I love it, bro. Y'all flowing. Something must went wrong with his phone. Metu just dropped off. We're going to give him a chance to come back real quick. But I was about to ask him a question that was going to lead into a question that I was going to ask you. So I'll just do that anyway. Based off what he said, since we have water, it got to be, a God over that. Since we have, sun and fire and trees and nature and all that, we got to have a God over that. So since it seems as if that's the worldview that he's putting forward, I would want to know, Richie, how would you address that and him saying that since we have all these different elements, there has to be a God over each element. How would you address that argument?
I say science destroys that argument.
Mm.
Like we know basically that those things are not controlled by gods. We know what controls them. That we know what water is H2O. It's a molecule of two hydrogen, one oxygen. It's a intelligent. It's an intelligent creation. Obviously, that people may call this the clockmaker fallacy, but to me that's an unfair fallacy because the Bible says that man was created in the image of God, right? So we see like this universe is doing things by itself. Like we see stars forming by itself, stars exploding. We see trees growing by itself unless man plants a tree. And yet we as mankind have that same personality. I give you an example, like a robot vacuum. We create a robot vacuum, right? We press the button and it's allowed to do things by itself, right?
Right.
So same thing with this, when he talks about like, if he was to say nature each has a God over it. Reality doesn't, show that. Reality shows that everything has a design and there are no hidden beings. Like if that's the case, then that can we disprove that? Because people may say it for us now, like for our God, we put God so high up there that there's no way to find out or testify, to test his hypothesis or whatever. I can't say there's no God behind water now. It's up, from his belief system. But if that's the case, they're weak gods because we can manipulate them. You understand what I'm saying? If each of these, nature has a God, wind has a God, I could basically, create a windmill to take your energy to give me power without you saying nothing. You know what I'm saying? So no, that doesn't make no sense to me. I mean, I hope he's not saying that though.
Yeah. Okay. We got the guy back in the building. Metu the guy. We don't know what happened. We had a couple of technical difficulties, but the brother is back in the building, and I'm gonna start it back off. I'm gonna start it off where y'all left off at, because of course y'all know me, what my brother Piyanki called the human dictionary. Metu, you were saying how since there's water, it has to be a God over that. Since we have trees growing, there got to be a God over that.
No, I'm not saying that.
Okay, my mistake. What did you mean? Okay, what did you mean by saying that? We were talking about the Trinity, and Garfield was asking you, about do you believe if there is one God? You said yeah, and he was saying like based off the biblical God, why didn't you believe in that? And you were saying, because we have water, we have vegetation, we have trees and all that. That's where you got cut off at. So if you could be short but sweet, I want you to answer that because I'm questioning.
Okay.
Garfield,
what I'm saying is there is one thing that exists, and everything that's in existence is an expression of this one thing. There's only one thing that exists.
One God?
There's one thing.
One God, not multiple gods?
I don't like the word God. All I'm saying is, let's say that because the word God has a different origin than when.
What about creator? Okay, creator.
Okay, we let's go with that.
Okay. So my question is, so you believe that there is only, because of course, I know.
I'm saying there's one thing that exists. So whether you call
everything come from that one thing, not that is like this like for example the Christian belief, we got God, and then everything else is outside of that and not God, just created by God. What you believe is that we have God, and everything that God created is an expression of God, therefore are God, right?
No, that's not what I'm saying.
My bad. Break it down for us.
What I'm saying is there is one thing that exists, and everything that exists is an expression of the one thing that exists. So let's say that we go with let's use the word God for lack of words.
Yeah, that's all I mean.
Yeah. Let's say we use God. Everything is God, expressed within everything that exists. I'm
So
not
everything is God, right? I mean, so you're making my point. I'm trying. I'm only trying to get your understanding so I can ask you the question, which
everything
gonna
is
lead to Garfield
interconnected.
question.
I'm saying everything is interconnected. I'm not separated from that tree. I'm not separated from the animals. I'm not
So are you
on the
God?
ground.
Are you
What'd you
God?
say? What'd you say?
Based off of what you just said, everything being interconnected with God. So since there is a God that made everything, are you God and I'm God?
Okay, I don't like the word God.
I mean, are we that thing that created us?
Yes, you are an expression of that.
Okay,
Yes.
okay. I got you. But believe me, I'm not trying to trap you or nothing. I'm just trying to get understanding. Okay.
No.
So
What I'm
Richie,
saying is you're God in the person. So
in the
so I have to
person,
respect you. I have to respect you as you're God having a human experience.
no,
I
I
have
get you.
to
No,
respect
Mitchell, I don't want to. I don't want us to go into. I don't want us to go into another subject. So I got you. I'm just trying to get your understanding on this subject,
okay.
so I can lead the question. Okay. So you're
Oh,
saying God created everything,
no,
and
no,
we
no, no,
are
no, 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 no. I'm not saying that. I'm saying that everything that you see is God.
right. Hold on, wait. Let me
God
finish.
didn't create
Let me finish.
everything. Everything in
God,
creation is God.
right. I got you. So
There is
God
no
created everything.
separation. There is no separation.
I
There
know.
is no God and
Let me
man.
finish.
God is man.
Let me finish. So the one eternal source is
Right,
God,
right,
or the creator, because you're like, okay, is the creator,
right.
and everything that creator created is an aspect of that creator.
Absolutely.
I know, I got you. I might not be articulating it to you in a way, but I get what you're saying. Okay, so
Yeah, that's
okay,
absolutely.
so this is
That's
what
what
you're
I'm
saying.
saying.
Okay, so which leads me to my question to Richie. So Richie,
Hmm.
okay, so the creator created everything, and we are aspects of everything that the creator created. So the water is God because it created it. We are the God and everything else. We are aspects of that creator. So how would you address that with the biblical God based off what we see in reality?
Well, the biblical aspect kind of says that, but it only says that for man, that only man was created in God's image. So that only man is going to be able to reflect the creator of this universe. Like, you're not going to have monkeys or fish or, they're intelligent creatures. I'm not saying they're not intelligent, but when it comes to being able to, if we wanted to, right, mankind could blow up this whole world. Mankind could do whatever. We could go wipe out all monkeys right now and they can't stop us. I'm not saying we all be unstoppable because we die. You know what I'm saying? I mean, thank God we're not eternal no more, because imagine if we knew the knowledge of good and evil and we're still eternal, but we could, like, even nature itself. Yeah, nature does bad things, but we still have the ability to, like, counteract nature. We could tell when a hurricane's coming, so we could leave that land so the hurricane can't do nothing. And technology now that we have things, we could manipulate weather now, stuff like that. So in my opinion, that God is the aspect of everything. I say the biblical God is the creator of everything. Well, he only put his image on one creation, which was man. And this is why we're having these conversations and not monkeys.
Okay. I like. Okay, y'all. We've been on for about an hour. Are y'all ready to close out, or are y'all still good to keep going?
No, I can talk, bro.
Okay. What about you, Richie? You good?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good.
Okay. Mental, I got you. So I know we didn't start this show for this reason, but we finna flip it. We're finna let Metu ask some questions to you, Richie. Are you okay with that, Richie?
Yeah, I'm cool with that.
Okay. Metu, you know that Richie is a Christian. I don't know his whole backstory, of why he became a Christian, or if he was born into it and all that and left it and came back and all that. So this is your chance to play offense and put Richie on defense. Metu, the floor is yours, bro. Ask Richie some questions,
Okay.
man.
Okay. Richie is am I saying the right? Sorry.
No, Richie.
Am I put Richie?
You can say Rich. You call me Rich.
Which one do you prefer? I don't want to.
You call me Rich because Richie is more of a family name. It's also my social media name.
Okay, Rich.
But my boys call me Rich. Yeah.
Okay, Rich. All right, cool. I don't want to come off disrespect.
Hmm?
No, Rich. What I'm saying is, Now, first off, when I'm talking to a black man. I'm not looking at a Christian. That's secondary. You're not a Christian that's a black man. You're a black man that's a Christian. Race first. Now, what our ancestors talking about the relationship with nature. We understood that, just like how you just said about there's technology, we could tell if a storm was coming. You can't stop the storm. You can just know that it's coming. You don't know what it's going to destroy, what it's going to do, or if it even going to come your way actually. The storms turn. Our ancestors we understood we have to be in balance, what we call ma'at. We have to be in balance and harmony with nature. Because if insects, for an example, if insects turned on man would no longer exist. Just the insects. So we have to understand that we are all interconnected. Our ancestors knew that before the African would turn down a tree, he would pray over that tree first. Because it was a significant reason why that tree was there. We didn't just tear stuff down because I want to create a city here. We don't just tear. We didn't do that. We didn't pollute the water because we needed the water to drink. We didn't pollute the air because we needed the air to breathe. We didn't just kill because we wanted to. Because there's a natural pool within the universe. Whatever you throw into the universe, you're going to get back. It's called the law of attraction. Whatever you put out, you get back. We also knew, if we followed the laws of Ma'at, the 42 laws of Ma'at, that's older than the Bible. That's where, if we just followed that as a people, I'm not talking about European. You follow that within your own culture. Europeans have a different construct than us. They're violent military people that,
Are you leading to a question, Metu?
Say it again?
Are you leading to a question?
Oh, yeah, okay. Oh, you rushing me. Okay. Okay. Well, I'm saying, wouldn't it make sense to, now that people are coming into realization that Christianity has a lot of holes, why don't we go back to what we had before we was forced fed this religion? Wouldn't it make more sense to say, let me go back to what did we study before we got this thing? Because this thing right here has too much blood, too much tears, and too much agony behind it. Let me go back to something else. Let me choose something other than this.
Okay, I got you. So Richard, his question is based off what we see with technology and nature, and how it intermingles with us and our lives and how we need it in order to survive. And if nature turned on us, we would be doomed. His question is, seeing literature from things that are older than the Bible that give testimony and attest to us and nature as being one, right? Why don't we follow that instead of what we see in Christianity, seeing that Christianity has so many holes in it?
I mean,
you did a good job, dude. I didn't expect you to come out like that.
I do this. Metu, you should know by now. I do this, bro.
Okay, all right. Thank you, my brother. You did a good job. Okay, all right.
So yeah, so why don't we follow that? So like, what is it that like? Okay, it's like saying like, to me that question is kind of like saying like, we get energy from the sun, right? So why don't we follow that? So I mean, that's just like a principle of nature, like we get energy from the sun. Okay.
It's like our ancestors knew 1 + 1 is 2. Someone has told us that 1 + 1 is 12. Now that we know that 1 + 1 is no longer 12, why can't we just go back to the original 1 + 1 is 2?
Right. No, Metu, believe me, he got you, bro. He's as intelligent as you is, bro. He got you.
I'm not saying that you're unintelligent. I'm just trying to.
No, I'm not saying you to say that. I'm just saying let him give his answer to the question that you posed.
Because when you say follow that, like when you say follow, when you say follow that, it's like okay, are there like moral rules also you're mentioning to follow, or are you just saying that
our original traditions?
Oh, so the traditions of our ancestors.
No.
So with these,
Richard, he's saying that we have things from our ancestors that are true, that's older than the text of the Bible. So why
Mhm.
should we follow this later text and not follow the stuff that our ancestors already put out before the Bible that was true?
Oh, brother, you said it perfect.
Yeah.
Oh,
Look,
okay.
look. There's books that I read that I get life help from. That's not the Bible. You know what I'm saying? So like when it comes to like ancient proverbs and stuff like that, like yeah, like there's wisdom. People think that they have this mentality, think that only Christians are gonna have the wisdom of life. Like that. That's not true. There's wisdom in every culture, in every nation, across the
Yep.
world. But when you say like follow the traditions now of our ancestors when it comes to like the nature of reality and the nature of like creation and God, does that include like Amin Ra, like carrying the sun across the sky, or does it just include just me identifying myself with African culture, which I do because I come from the Ashanti tribe, because my parents are from Jamaica, so we
That's
could
good,
trace
brother.
our ancestry back to from to the Africa and other Asiatic
Congratulations.
tribes. But like yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like I could appreciate culture from the ancient culture, but when it comes to defining my reality, like what does our ancient ancestors provide to me to live for today? Like you mentioned now being in balance with nature, right? I mean, we don't need the Bible to tell us that we need to bathe every day. We don't need God gives us
But the
all
Bible
common
tells us
sense
to have
knowledge.
the Bible authorized man to have dominion. And having dominion over these, you can't have dominion over nature. But you can't control the storm, nor can you stop it.
He said over the animals, yeah, over the animals, not over nature, but the animals,
I
the
mean,
beasts
but
of the sea.
nature is everything. Nature does not
Yeah.
designate to just animals. Nature is the grass, it's the stars.
Yeah,
It's
but
the
he never said over nature. He just said have dominion over the animals. I mean, in a sense, if you think about it, right? Like from the
I mean,
biblical
there are people
standpoint,
that just like the magician that raised that tiger from a baby. And you want to hit this tiger as an adult thinking, okay, I have dominion over this. It's gonna eat you. Because he has a self-defense mechanism built in him as well. You can't have dominion over animals. Let's be in harmony with this thing.
How would
Because
you
he
respond
can't
to
do
that,
it.
Richie? He
I
said
mean,
he said you can't have dominion over animals.
we're hand-to-hand combat. I'm not gonna kill a lion, but I know that if I'm approaching, I have the wisdom to know that if I'm approaching a lion, I could take a more advantage over this thing situation where I have weapons of my warfare that could wipe the lion out. You understand what I'm saying?
Right,
So
but
yes, I could.
who told you you have
Hold
dominion
on,
over
wait,
the lion?
Mitchell,
Did the
hold on. I
lion
just
know
want to make
that?
sure, Mitchell, I want to make sure you answer. I want to make sure that you respond to his statement proficiently. What he's saying is now this is what dominion means. Dominion means this: us as humans, we can outthink any animal. Because if you notice, animals aren't catching humans. Now animals can catch us in messed up situations and win that battle. But overall,
Mhm.
there is no animal that have dominion over a human. They don't even have the thought process to even think to even have
Mhm.
dominion over a human. So,
No,
Mhm.
so
I don't subscribe to that.
I want you. No. I want you to address me. I'm rephrasing his statement so you can address his statement. So what he's saying is based on what the Bible says. The Bible don't say we have dominion over nature. It says we have dominion over animals. Would you or would you not agree with that? Seeing that dominion specifically means that we can outthink animals. Would you agree with
No,
that or not?
I do not.
You do not. Okay. Now go into your spiel, bro. Go ahead, Mitchell.
No,
Why
man
not?
does not have dominion over animals. There's not. See, you can take an animal out of his particular nature, but it still is in him. It's like there's an African story of the snake. The snake was ran over in the middle of the road. Man saw the snake. He picked it up, took it to his house, healed it, wrapped it up, killed it, gave it food, took care of it until his wounds healed. And one day the man came to check on the snake, opened up the cage, and the snake bit him. He said, "Why you bite me?" He said, "Because you knew I was a snake when you picked me up." So if I study the nature of these animals, I know that this animal does something that I don't know. I can't do. Like our ancestors will see a let's say a cat. Cat jumps off a building and lands on his feet. Man, that's a God-given characteristic. I want to be able to do that. Let me study this. I'm not worshiping this cat. There's a characteristic of this cat I would love to have myself.
Right.
Right now, if I jump off the building, I'm breaking my legs.
All of them.
He jump off the building, he lands on his feet.
Right.
I got 2 legs and I break mine. He got 4 and he jumps down, hit the ground and run. So we just studied nature. Let's just be in harmony. See, because my problem with the whole dominion over nature is because the Bible designates, or based on what y'all are saying, it designates nature just as animals. I'm saying nature is everything.
Okay, I got you, mister. I got you. Okay, so Richard, he's saying that, now, we know that the definition of dominion over something means you have power over it, right? Do we all agree on that? Okay. So, but he's saying that if you put us in their element, then we ain't got that same dominion over them. Like you said, if you put us on the high building, we can jump off that building and break both our legs. But that cat can jump off there and land on all 4 of his perfectly. And that's true. And then he also saying if we put us in their element, that tiger can rip us from appetite to booty hole. And that's true. So how would you respond to that based off the definition of dominion and based off the biblical interpretation of dominion?
Okay, so we you know, I kind of laughed when you said the cat thing, you know, when you said you wish you could do that. We can. Like, we could create parachutes. That's the thing about it. Like, a bird could fly on its own. We can't. But guess what? We could fly now. You understand what I'm saying? Like, what animal can go outside of their nature to create something, to do something they cannot do? Yeah, like a tiger could basically, you know, could get us out of our element. But guess what? We know where tigers live. You know what I'm saying? So if we have wisdom, we're gonna know that, all right, if I go in there, I'm gonna get my, you know, my leg torn off or something like that. So we have that wisdom. Like, there's no tigers in the Bronx unless they say from the Bronx Zoo. You know what I'm saying? But so that whole thing about, like, you know, we do have the meaning. Like, a cat cannot plan a human genocide. We have the NoboDy said, like, we had the ability to plan a cat genocide, whereas a cat don't have the ability to plan a human genocide. They don't even have that thought, or kind of, it never comes to their mind. They're always going to be stuck in the nature. A cat will always be a cat. Ever since the dawn of, like, you know, ancient civilization, from the, you know, the invention of writing, we've always seen animals do the same thing they've been doing since the dawn of time. But yet, we look at the progression. We see progression with human beings from what we did before to what we're doing now. So even when it comes to nature, like, look at what we're talking on. We're talking on, you know, computers, 5G wireless. Basically, we figured out there's frequencies in nature that we can manipulate to basically send my voice across the world. That's real domineering to me right there.
Okay, hold up. Let me drop a bomb for that.
Everything that we do is a copy of what we observe within nature. Like, when you look at a tank, it's nothing but an elephant. They observe.
No, so what he's saying is, based off the biblical meaning of it, let's just take the definition out of it, or whatever, even though it means the same thing. But let's take the definition out of it. He said, based off of the definition, based off the biblical meaning of dominion means that we are smarter than animals. Would you or would you not agree to that?
No, we're not smarter than animals.
Okay, now give your spiel on that.
The reason why I say we're not smarter than animals is because the reason why we do certain things is because I observe. The reason why Africans decided to do this Metu arts, what they now call martial arts, is our observance to nature. Animals was already doing this thing. Before man flew a plane, bird was already flying. Let me study that bird. So if you study nature, nature is going to teach you how to conduct yourself on this planet. But if I'm going to have dominion over these things, if I feel like I'm going to dominate it, I'm not. You can't be smarter than the bird if he flew before you did. You can't be smarter than uh the cat if he was landing before you did the parachute. All this stuff is your observance of nature. The reason why there is a tank is because Africans were using elephants. When you look at the part of the tank that shoots, that's a snout of an elephant. Hannibal used elephant. Europeans didn't start using elephants until the 1800s. They did not domesticate elephants until the 1800s.
Okay, Metu, I know you're a smart brother, and you know a lot. I just want to come to a conclusion on this.
Okay, my bad. I keep apologizing.
Bro, Metu, this is your home. You good. Ain't on my bad. You good, bro. You good. Since we know this channel is built on truth, I just want to ask you a yes or no question, and then it's time for you to ask Richie Garfield another question.
Okay.
So, said that we learned how to fly from the birds. We built tanks looking at rhinos. We learned how to parachute looking at cats, right? Now, notice a cat don't know nothing about aerodynamics. So it can't even learn anything about a bird to the point that humans learn it, right? A rhino and all that, they don't know what the other species know, right? But us as a human, one human can learn about a cat and emulate that. We can learn the bird, emulate that. We can learn the rhino and emulate that. But the cat can't emulate the rhino. The bird can't emulate the cat. So do you still disagree that humans, now don't forget, dominion just means smarter. Do you disagree that humans are smarter than animals, bro? I mean, and don't forget, we're talking about truth, bro. We're not trying to be right off our theory. We're just talking about truth.
No, animals are still smart. Animals are still smart because look, let's say you have a bird. Now you let's say you have an alligator. You got an alligator in this bird. This bird flies and the alligator swims.
Right.
This alligator wants that bird. He's like, damn, I can't get up there because I can't fly. He's going to come up with a way to get that bird. You know that alligators have a way of turning their body over to the point where they can jump out of the water.
But Metu, watch this out. Metu. But when will an alligator ever learn to fly? Humans have learned to fly to match the bird. The alligator would never. Let's stop, bro. Let's stop. Metu.
He don't fly.
You know you my bro. Metu, you know you my bro, so don't even answer my question. Don't answer it. Don't answer it. Go on and ask Richie. Hello, Richie. Do you have
I just want one thought on this last before we move on.
Richie.
Like, I'm going to kind of play devil advocate against myself. I would think, from the comedic community or, ever conscious community, this is what they would say. And this is what I would say too. I would be like, look, at the end of the day, God never taught me how to fly, do all these things. Nature taught me. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, I learned to fly from the bird. I learned the bill of tank from the rhino and all those things. There was no God that taught me these things. But here's my question now as an angel advocate. Why is nature in our favor then? Just how basically nobody said the alligator's not learning to fly, the monkey's not learning to fly, the cat ain't learning to swim, to build a boat. Why is nature in our favor then? And all this, if you consider us like as a species as every other animal, the truth points to nature being in our favor then, because we're the only species on this planet that's doing these things, that's basically learning every other species ability. So my question is, why is nature in our favor? We have to answer that now, but there's people who listen on the show. So why is nature in our favor?
You're right. It's time for you to question him. But if you want to answer that question, you can. And then in return, answer it, and then in return, ask him a question.
Okay, I will answer it. Yeah. So let's go to the biblical part since y'all don't believe it. Now, God made man last. So God made the animals first. So God made the animals before he made me. There's a reason why he is before I am. So in order for me to exist with this animal, because I wasn't made first, then the animal was made, then I was here. So I have to be able to coexist with this thing that was here before I was. So obviously these animals know this terrain better than me. So I must study these things in order for me to continue to live with them. If I'm going to destroy all these animals and just live on this thing by myself, I I must be honest enough to know that I'm I'm actually next on the line of being killed
Okay.
because these
Okay.
animals here to help me live and to exist. If you get rid of certain animals, man will no longer exist. These We are interconnected. I need this. I don't know why a mosquito is here, but there is a purpose of it being here. I don't know why there is a bird. I don't know why there's certain fish. You know, there's certain fish that keeps the water clean. Why would I go out and eat the catfish that keep the water clean? And I'm worried about my water being dirty. Why my water dirty? Because you didn't know that what you ate kept it clean. So let's just study nature so that we can coexist with these things on this planet while we're here because nature's at the top of the food chain. Because no matter what man do and kill, man, at the end of the day, he have to lay down and die.
Man, hold up.
Nature's
Let me
gonna
drop a
eat
bomb
him
for that.
too.
Let me drop a bomb for that. Let me drop a bomb for that. Okay, so Metu, answer that. Metu, what's your next question for Richie
Okay,
Garfield?
my last question to you, my brother, is: Have you ever studied um uh um the Mayan cult or the old man cult?
Not in the details. Like you talking about, in this side of the world.
No, just the old man Mayan cult that was here in America. The indigenous
Um,
the
they,
indigenous cultural things here in America. The Mayan and the old man cult.
yeah, I would never say I'm an expert. I know you're talking about the Mayans from like in the BC era or like the
Yeah.
80 era.
Yes.
Um, I know that basically the Mayan people, they were very mysterious. Like I think that was the culture that disappeared mysteriously.
See now,
That's the one.
if you
Go ahead.
study the Mayan and the
Hold
old
on,
man
hold on,
cult,
Metu. Hold on, Metu. Before you say that, let me go in real quick. Let me go in. Go ahead, Richie.
You know what I'm saying? Like the Mayan, that's the culture they refer to that created the Mayan calendar, and they disappeared mysteriously. That's the one you're referring to, right?
right?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I mean, not as detailed. I know more about ancient Egypt than I know the Mayans.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
Cool. Now, did you know that if you study the Mayan cult, you would think the Mayans were Christian because Christianity stole from the Mayan cult as well. Why not be open to say, you know what? Let me study this from a realistic point of view. Let's just look at this. You'll see the same stuff with Zoroaster, with Mayan, with Mithra, with Zeus in Christianity long before Christ.
In what
Why not
particular are you
just give
saying?
those things what what is keeping you from studying the other religions and other cultures, other so-called spiritual systems?
So pretty much the
Besides
same question.
Christianity.
Knowing that there are systems older than the Bible, Richie.
Mhm.
What are keeping you from studying those things?
Oh, what would studying or believing?
Studying.
Studying. I mean, I do a share fair study of like other religions because, being that I'm a Christian is like it kind of you can't avoid it. You know what I'm saying? You can't avoid knowing about other religions. And a lot of people think too. Like I think a lot of people think that Christians don't know about other religions. Like we just kind of stuck in a box. We don't even just know our worldview. And I think that's definitely not true. But from the studying the Mayan cults, first I would say, okay, these other religions, right? If I'm supposed to see any credibility in their belief system, I would like to see what they say about nature first. Like go back to ancient Egypt. They have a belief system, but then on top of that, you have this pantheon of gods and explanations of what they do. I cannot believe in the ancient Kemet religion because they really made a mistake about nature when they said that the son was carried across the sky by a chariot. That right there is a red flag to me.
No, I mean, but see, let me correct that. See, when you hear a lot of stories of ancient Kemet or the Nile Valley, that was, see, if I was going to teach you a morality story, the story itself don't have to be real. You can learn something from the Three Little Pigs. But if you literalize it, see, religion is a literalization.
Hold on, wait, Metu, I want you to change subjects. What he's saying is, one reason why, just one, not the only, one reason why he don't believe in the Kemetic spiritual system is because they have a literature that says that the sun is carried across the sky on a chariot, and we can prove that that's not true. What is your statement?
I mean, we can prove that. We can also prove that Elijah was not carried into a chariot into heaven either. But we don't still believe in that in Christianity.
Hold up, Richie. Hold on, Metu. Hold on, wait. You didn't answer the question, but you did give a nice counterpunch. So, but what's your answer to the question that the sun is not carried across the sky on a chariot? What's your answer to that?
That's what I was answering. What I'm saying is, it's a morality story that someone took literal. We didn't say that actually happened. It's a metaphor.
Right.
The Bible has beautiful metaphors, but if you literalize it, you'll miss the metaphor.
Okay, hold on. I got.
Jesus did not walk. Jesus did not literally go heal, make people who were blind see.
No,
he just gave people who he gave knowledge for those that didn't know. See, now once you understand.
Let me moderate real quick. Let me moderate. What he said is, okay, you're reading a story in Kemet that is not literal.
Right.
So for you not to, not this is the only reason, but for this to be one reason why you don't believe in Kemet, because you say that the sun is carried on a chariot. He's saying that that's not literal in Kemet. What's your response to that?
So I would say that the ancient people of Kemet, did they believe these stories to be literal or not?
No, they did not know that. They did not literalize. There's a morality. Just like I was saying about the Three Little Pigs. If you get the point of the story, if you build a strong foundation, no one would blow it away from you. Whether it's money, it could be educational, it could be family structure, it could be relationship. As long as you build, you can learn something from that. But if you take it literal, you're going to argue over, damn, a pig actually made a house full of sticks. Our ancestors knew that.
I got you there too. But my brother, Richie, so my brother is saying.
Misinterpreted our ancestors and gave us their misinterpretation. That's why we shy away from it.
Okay, I got you, Mitchell. I got you. So, and this is not his exact words. These are my words, Richie. But I'm phrasing it like this. So he's saying for you not to believe in the Kemetic spiritual system is foolish. If one of the reasons that you don't believe in it is because the sun was carried across the sky on a chariot, because they didn't mean that literally. What is your response to that?
I will have to see the literature that says that they didn't believe it literally, because if they didn't believe that if they didn't believe that literally, right? If they didn't believe that literally, that must means that they knew that the sun wasn't carried across the sky by a chariot, but that it was a ball of helium.
Okay, stop right there, Rick. Stop right there. So he said that the reason why he don't believe in Kemet is because the Kemetic text, this certain poet says that the sun was carried across the sky on a chariot. Metu, you say that, I mean, you didn't say, but I'm rephrasing this. You're saying that he's foolish for leaving the Kemetic teachings over that because they didn't mean that literally. He says that he has no reason why not to believe that literally. So what evidence do you have as to why Richie should not believe that literally, as to why it is a metaphor?
It is, because I'm telling you, it's a metaphor. There's a lot of stuff that our ancestors said. It was a metaphor. What's
the evidence, bro? That's what you're asking for, the evidence.
Where's the evidence?
Yeah.
Okay, there is no evidence of no sun being put on no boat.
That's what he's saying, right? So what's the evidence? Metu, he's saying that because it's stuff in the Bible that we shouldn't take literal either. That is metaphor, and that can be
The whole
proven.
Bible is a metaphor.
So he's asking, based off of the Kemetic text, since just like the Bible, we can read the Kemetic text. It's some stuff that is literal, and there's some stuff that's not literal. So what he's asking for, what is the evidence in the Kemetic text or anywhere else that he shouldn't take that part about the sun riding through the sky on on a chariot. He's saying that the Kemetics did believe that literal, and he don't have any evidence to show otherwise. So what evidence do you have to show that he shouldn't take that literal?
There is no evidence that our ancestors said that literally happened. We understood, because I'm in the culture. We understood that nature is telling a story. We made heaven on earth. That scripture where it says, "Thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven." We made heaven on earth. We didn't want to die to go to heaven. You can live and have heaven right here. Heaven and hell is a mindset. So when you see certain things, like you will see, like what they call the Sphinx, but it's not called a Sphinx, but we're gonna just go with the Sphinx. We're not saying that a person was walking around with a half lion body and a human head. That was to teach you something. If you was to take that literal, then you're silly.
Okay. I got you. Okay.
Why would you look at a lion and a man together
and think that they're together?
That now you got, when you see something that looks like that seems a little silly, like, you know what? No, that's
it's symbolism. It's symbolism.
Right.
Symbolism.
So
what he's saying,
you gotta be able to look at certain things and be like, wait, that sounds a little crazy. Oh, that's a story. Oh, okay. Right. You can't take everything literal.
He's saying that you can't take everything literal, and he's saying that he is a part of the culture, so he can tell you that you can't take that literal. Yeah. What is your response to that?
I mean, like, I think it's a modern interpolation of like, ancient cultures.
Absolutely.
Like even today I see it in Christianity too, where basically we put in a modern spin on, like, the books of Genesis, that it's not literal, that it's, the same thing you're saying too, because it conflicts with their worldview of nature when it comes to evolution. You got what they call theistic evolution. But my question was that where is the evidence that the ancient people who wrote these texts didn't believe it? I actually have evidence that the people who wrote the Bible believe these things happened. Within Jesus himself, you look at Jesus, he was a Jew, and he's the one that says, when it comes to Adam and Eve, he says male and female, he created them in the beginning. So that goes to show that the people who wrote this book actually believed it. You understand what I'm saying? So, in my opinion, when it comes to the Bible, I either take it as it is or I just leave it. I shouldn't basically put my modern interpolation on it, because what's the purpose then? Let me go find a different, maybe let me go make my own religion then. Let me not hang on the backs of the ancient people. You know what I'm saying? Because they believe it.
But all you can really go off is, like you said, your interpolation of it, because you really don't know. It's like, okay, as much as I love my ancestors of the Nile Valley, if something sounds silly, I'm like, they ain't gonna believe no shit like that. Mm-hmm. I don't know what you was believing at that time, but based on how I'm looking at it, nah, they did not say that this man was walking around with a bird head on his face. Nah, that wasn't real. It's like now, like doing the culture with the Zulus, they still practicing now. If the king die, his servants are they're basically killed because they want to be with him in the afterlife. People in the modern text were like, oh man, why would they do some shit like that? That's crazy. But yet you don't say nothing about that when Sherry Osborne said that if her husband dies, she don't kill herself. We say, oh, look at the love she had for her man. That's romantic to them when it comes to from a European perspective. But when look at that.
We're finna get ready to close out in not too long. Metu, you said before this that was your last question, and I want to give you a chance to confirm that or not. Do you have one more question for Richie Garfield before I let y'all just have a back and forth? Do you have one more question? Yes or no?
That was my last question. Okay. I enjoy the dialogue. I
got you. Okay, so that was your last question. I'm just gonna let you two brothers have a back and forward for probably about the next 10 or 15 minutes. Now, I don't want y'all to be too long-winded, bro, because you may not be asking a question, but you may make a statement that the other person wanna address. So not Garfield, Metu, I'm gonna let you start first, and just talk. And when Richie Garfield cuts you off, he not doing it out of disrespect. He's just doing it because he want to address maybe a certain statement you made. And Richie Garfield, while you're giving your reply to one of his statements, he may cut you off to reply to something that you said. So we're gonna go back and forward for like the next 10 or 15 minutes, and then we're gonna close out. If that's okay with y'all.
Okay.
Okay.
All
Go
right,
ahead,
so
Metu.
all right. So because of my history with Christian, now that I know all of this stuff, I just decided, I'm like, you know what? Let me go. So that's what made me go back to reading the Bible. I didn't just throw the Bible away. I said, there are some gems in this thing. If they came from if a lot of this stuff was a misinterpretation of the ancient Egyptian text, there's some gems in it. So let me go back into it. It's just like what I'm saying about the Kemetic sign. If you read the Per Imheru or the Book of the Dead, or you read the Book of Ptah, which is the oldest book on the planet, let's look at it from another perspective. Because we are told all this negative stuff about the Egyptian had slaves and Moses had to tell people to let them go and all the little stuff. Let's just look at it from another perspective and say, let me give this thing a try. Maybe it might be it might be some value in it. So that's why I decided I go back to the Bible. Sometimes I look at it and say, you know what, that's something, because there's a poem, there's part of a poem that was wrote by Imhotep. And this is a poem that was wrote over 15,000 years ago. Imhotep said, eat, drink, be merry, for tomorrow we die. That scripture is that's in the Bible. I said, wow, look at that. The voice of my ancestors in this book. I don't want to just throw this thing away. Even though I got the original text now, some of the stuff that they took from Kemet, they destroyed it. So all I'm saying is just give it another look at, other than, as I said before, other than you looking at everything literal. Look at it as a metaphor. Jesus making the blind see, that didn't happen. What he did was he gave knowledge to those who didn't know. That's a metaphor. When our ancestors saw the sun in its reflection on the water, oh, that's God's son walking on water. Christianity made that literal, but if you take it as a morality, so like, wow, that do look like, when people say it's raining cats and dogs, it do sound like a fight out there. They ain't saying cats and dogs out there fighting. It's a metaphor.
Jump in whenever you want, Rick.
Just I'm just saying is, why not just give our ancestors another try and see what they really said, and then then you be the judge, jury, and executioner after that.
No.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Rick.
Like back to when you said whether when you mentioned the chariot with Elijah, that we just like because you was trying to compare it to the sun and the chariot. The difference between those two things is that we could observe the sun with our eyes and see there's no chariot. But the instance with Elijah and the chariot, that's a localized event. Whereas that it's untestable, we can't verify it, and we can't.
Yeah.
And when as I say, I can say there's a pink pony that lives on the dark side of the moon. You can't tell me I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying? Until we get the observation.
Right. That's true.
So my premise is that there is nothing observed that contradicts the Bible. Like if you look at you mentioned nature and stuff like that, like the things that nature, we all connected to nature. Talk about Jesus walking on the water. So I would say, okay, let me question: is this possible in nature? And yes, it is possible in nature. We got insects that walk on water due to surface tension because they're able to center their gravity, the center of mass, so that they don't sink in water. You know what I'm saying? So therefore, I have like
have you ever seen man walk on
no,
water?
no, of course not. But nature itself gives that possibility, though. You understand what I'm saying? Can I do it? Can I? I mean that it's not testifiable because with a scientific method you have to create an experiment to see if it's possible. So yeah, I can't make man walk on water, but yet if I have the ability in my mind, right, to manipulate my center of gravity, I have the scientific rules of nature to make that possible. Because if insects could do it, you know what I'm saying? Based on their physiology, the makeup of their body, because their center of mass is centered in a certain place in their body. right? We know that our mind can do certain things. Like, for instance, a woman that's gets adrenaline rush could all of a sudden lift up a car that's tons to save her baby. It happened. You know what I'm saying? So, to say that, okay, you having a figure in the Bible who basically claimed to be the son of God, the word of creation, then it shouldn't be illogical to think that this person should have the ability to, like kind of like the Matrix, like the one, Neo, he could basically manipulate the Matrix to how he sees it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that, it's foolish to think that based on the rules of nature. But yet I'm not using that though as evidence. Like, okay, yes, because it's possible, then you should believe it. Of course I can't do that, you know what I'm saying?
No,
But
that's powerful. If you see what he said, Metu, he's saying it's not. If you want to go off reason, if we take the biblical narrative for what the biblical narrative says it is, right? If God created the water and then God came down to earth, reasonably, bro, we're just talking about reasonably, according to the narrative. If God created the earth and everything in it, and he puts himself in a human body, what's stopping him from walking on water? You see what I'm saying? It's no different than a man making a computer and somebody saying, hey, you can't walk on a computer. Well, I made the computer. I can step on it all I want to. How would you address the supernatural? Because I want to say this. Everything that's supernatural in the Bible, every single thing that you can find supernatural in the Bible, God did it. So according to the biblical narrative, if God created all of this stuff, what's stopping the supernatural things in the Bible from being reasonably accepted? We ain't saying it's true. It's just what's stopping it from being reasonably accepted? So would I be representing you correct, Richie?
Yeah, that's good.
Stevie Wonder said, if you believe in things you don't understand, you suffer. Superstition ain't correct.
That's true, Metu.
It's superstitious. It is superstitious just like you were saying how man fly. Man don't fly. He uses something to help him get up there. He don't get up there himself. The bird don't need nothing.
That's true.
But himself. The bird uses himself to get off the ground. Man don't use himself. He uses other things. And he copies the bird. Why not be in balance with these things and say, you know what? If it wasn't for this bird, I wouldn't even know anything about flying. If it wasn't for these tigers, I wouldn't know anything about how to fight. If it wasn't for these animals, I wouldn't even know that thing was up there. I didn't know that apple was up there. I didn't even know that fruit grew over there. Every fruit is not, you don't supposed to eat. So I'm sitting back looking at an animal eating the fruit that I really want to eat. He eats it and he dies. Okay, I ain't gonna eat that. Obviously, I can't eat. So it's observance of nature, not dominion over it. Let's just be at balance with it. And this whole thing about God coming down and being able, I don't subscribe to that. I'm saying, well, that's what I've been saying at the beginning, what I always would say. Everything is God. Nature is God. There is only one thing that exists, and that is nature. Our ancestors said Neter. There's only one thing that exists, and everything is that. Having its own experience. God is a tree. God is so once you understood that, you didn't just throw stuff on the ground. The Europeans feel like I have dominion. No, I can just throw this on the ground. I can just pollute. I can do what I want to do. And look where he's going.
But you know that belief system is not just unique to African culture. Like that belief system of nature is all over.
Right. All I know is African culture. So I'm not saying that it's just in African culture. I'm saying from our perspective. It could be somebody else's perspective. I don't know them. I know and love African people.
Hey, Metu say he pro-black, he pro-African, he for his people. Now he said that he don't know what they teach, but I'm gonna go a step farther and say he don't even care what they teach, because it comes from the original man, it's the black man, and we had it first. And not only do we copy nature, but after we copy nature, They copied us. Ain't that right,
There you
Metu?
go. Oh, got
There you go.
boy.
There you go, man.
That's what I'm talking
Metu,
about.
I'm with you, bro.
That's
You my
it.
bro. I don't know if
That's
I'm older
it.
than you or younger than you, so I don't know if I should call you little bro or big bro. But bro, you should know you my bro. At least by
That's
now,
it.
you my bro.
You
I got you, bro. I
you
got
said
you.
it perfectly, and that
I
makes
got
to me that makes sense.
you. Yeah,
I come from the indoctrination. I
yeah,
believed in that stuff, but how
right,
I was treated made me start to look at things a little differently. There are
right.
some people in Christianity that have not been done wrong, so they're not going to question it. They're going to be defensive about it. I understand.
Yeah,
I'm not here to take your belief system from you. I'm
yeah.
saying that anything that touches your life, as our brother Dr. John Henry Clark told us, he said that everything that touches your life should be converted into an instrument for your liberation or thrown into the ash can of history. If what you
Pretty much,
have does not help
pretty much,
liberate you, get rid of it.
pretty much. If it's true, it came from us, and you should exist to it. And if it ain't true, it ain't come from us, and you shouldn't even
Well,
believe that mess.
yeah, not only that, now what I'm saying is if what you have does not make you a better person, get rid of it. If Christianity make you a better person, I want you to be a Christian. I don't want you to leave that
Man,
because it
okay,
makes you a
hold up,
better
bro.
person.
I ain't trying to make this something. Okay, so now you one of the few people outside of Pianki, and you know how big ups I give you Saber. You're one of the few people I've heard say that. If Christianity make you a better person, believe in it. If it's Islam, Buddhism, whatever. If
If
you're a
it make
black
you a better,
man, and if you're a black man and you're about putting into the black community, whatever you believe in, if that's making you a better person to put back into this black community, you forward. That's what you're saying, right?
I'm not for the religion. I'm for you.
I mean,
You do you want.
no, not for the religion, but for you being a better person to put back into the black community.
Right. I know. I know a brother. I know a brother. His name was Bishop Ivory. He was a very good brother. He learned a lot of information. He was one of my elders. But he would take money out of his own pocket to feed people, to make sure people had a way to get to where they needed to go. I said, you know what? I respect that. I'm not gonna take Christianity from you,
Right.
even if it ain't Christianity. Some of our people just have good moral standards. If you got good moral standards, man, go
That's what
ahead
it's
with
about.
that.
The good moral stance. Okay. I want to give Richie as much time as I gave you to go and give his final statement, and I'm gonna give each of you brothers a chance to close out, and then we're gonna go from there. So Richie, he's saying that, hey, and this is just overall based off everything he said. Hey, if you got good moral standards, I'm with you. And if you don't, it is what it is. Go ahead and address that statement. Go ahead and address that statement and any other statement that he said that you want to address, and then we'll close out.
I mean, look, Christianity does not, outside of Christianity, there are quote unquote good people. When I say quote unquote, I'm gonna, of course, there's a biblical definition of what good is. Like, I know atheist people who have been married only once. Christians who've been married a whole bunch of times. You understand what I'm saying? But and I understand, like, especially within the Black culture, our peoples, that hearing you speak, Metu, that your belief system empowers you. You know what I'm saying? It gives you confidence in who you are. I feel like you believe that Christianity weakened you as a person, weakened you as a Black person, and that since you adopted the Kemetic belief system, you've kind of came to know yourself. I don't want to like just speak for you, but that's what it seems like to me.
Yeah, you're right. You're right so far.
And it's a positive thing. Of course, we want our peoples to feel positive and believe in themselves, but there's also a reality where it's like a person could feel that way based on a lie. Like, I could feel, confident that I won the lotto because someone told me. And then I go take a dump on my boss's chair, like, boom, I quit my job. I'm to find out it wasn't the truth. But in that moment when I did all of that, I was confident that I was empowered. That's what empowered me to take it. And this is a true story. This was in the news. You can see on YouTube that, man thought he won the lotto, took a dump on his boss's thing, worked there for like 20 plus years, came to find out it was a prank. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So you know, to the Black community, to our peoples, Christianity is not going to make you weak. We have to separate what we experience from the past, because in any belief system, there's always going to be charlatans. In any kind of control system, you're going to find people in the community that see this as a money opportunity. You know, like when you look at even like, you know, people go to church, people go to temple. You know, you have a pastor at church, you have a pastor at a speaker at the temple, on the platform, on the podium. The church take donations, the temple take donations. You understand what I'm saying? So there's still that traditional system of, you know, what man do. And I think that, you know, we got to separate mankind's portrayal of the faith and look at it itself, because Christianity is about a personal relationship with the Creator. It's about forgiveness, and most importantly, not even beyond personal relationship, it's about forgiveness of sins. So I believe that a person don't fully know themselves until they make the King of Spirits look at their hearts, because of all the characters in history, right? You know, they want to mention that, you know, that certain people came back from the dead. That's reincarnation. What other, you know, beliefs is talking about resurrection? You know, the difference between, you know, Osiris coming back from the dead. Osiris was about, you know, he came back from the dead being reborn. That's not resurrection. That's reincarnation. There's no comparison. You know, this is a uniqueness
but it's still a misinterpretation. Like the word resurrection came from the word raised erection. Did you know that?
Yeah, but I mean, just the concept though, like, you know, Osiris came back from the dead.
Right.
Through rebirth, right?
But right, from a raised erection. So
yeah, but he was reborn though. He was reborn though.
Right, it's still a raised erection.
No, that's different. Resurrection is different. Resurrection is talking about taking the same cells you existed with and repopulating themselves and coming back into that same carcass.
Right, but that's a misinterpretation. Understand what I'm saying? A raised erection is a man coming from the dead to the living. When you have a raised erection, you're alive. Right? It's a raised erection. The tech, what they call the obelisk, is a raised erection.
Yeah, but
now we call it a resurrection, not understanding that it was just an observance of what already happens. The sun dies and comes back. They didn't say that the sun is dead. It's a story. The sun is gone.
Every day. It dies and comes back every day.
It comes back every day, every morning.
But it doesn't die though.
And watch the Richie. And it don't even take 3 days. It's every day.
Yeah, but we know observation tells it doesn't die. It's just basically
I know it don't die. Mm-hmm. Right. But the word die means gone. It's gone.
Gone.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, other than saying the sun is gone, you say, oh, it's dead. It died and it resurrected. I'm so thankful for the sun. That's why every time when you hear Christian music, they say it's going to be a brighter day. Because tomorrow there's another day. There's always going to be another day.
I can back you up. Jesus died. What the text says, Jesus died for 3 days. But if the sun died for 3 days, wouldn't none of us be here, right, Metu?
That's the truth.
There we go.
What is the bright morning?
How would you address if Jesus is the Son of God?
Mm-hmm.
Now, I've heard this argument a lot. Most Christians think that it's the S-O-N. You know how fathers look at the son, but none of our sons walk on the water. None of our sons can feed 5,000 people with you know two loaves of bread and a couple of fish. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So it's not the S-O-N, it's the S-U-N. But if the S-U-N died for 3 days like the S-O-N would, literally no plants, no humans, none of us could be here to sustain that. So the story can't be literal, bro. It got to be a metaphor, bro.
You mean the resurrection? You mean the resurrection story? You're saying?
Yes.
All of it got to be a metaphor. Not just the resurrection. The resurrection got to be a metaphor. Him walking on water, him stopping the world. All that got to be metaphors, bro.
Think about it. Just think about it. If you say I can't wait till the Son of God come back.
The Son of God.
Because if that son don't come back,
we dead.
Not only
We
are we
dead,
dead,
bro.
there are predators at night. If you can no longer see,
We
you're
don't
gonna
have
get
night.
ate up by things that see. We're not
Watch it.
nocturnal.
We don't have night vision outside of the things that we invented, Richard.
Right.
The stuff that we can use naturally. If this sun don't come back, and it don't even matter if we in the city, bro. We can be in the city. If it's dark all the time, Richard, these animals or whatever, insects, pestilence, viruses, vaccines, all that stuff is gonna take over us. Hold up, Metu. I want to give Richie time to address this. How do you address that the SON is and the SUN is really the SON? I mean, the SON is really the SUN, and if the SON died for 3 days, we ain't gonna be able to survive, bro.
So basically, in a sense, saying that how to address the connection between the Son of God and the Son, in that sense, in the metaphorical sense.
You know what? In the Bible, I'm gonna let you finish. The Bible never said, Jesus never said that I am the Son of God. Jesus said I am the Son of Man.
Mhm.
Tell me I'm wrong. Didn't Jesus say I'm the Son of Man?
He referred to himself. Yeah.
I'm trying to
No,
be non-biased. I'm trying to be non-biased, but you're wrong, bro. But go ahead.
Jesus
like,
never
I
said
mean-
I'm the Son of Man. I'm wrong.
He referred to himself as the Son of Man because the Son of Man was a prophetic figure in the prophetic books. So basically,
People
saying
not to even get as deep as Richie said. You said that Jesus called himself the Son of Man and never called himself the Son of God. No, he did call himself the Son of God too, bro. He did both.
People call him the Son of God. Matter of fact, when Jesus met with his disciples, he told his disciples, "Be not deceived. People will come in my name saying that I'm Christ and will deceive many." Now, people misinterpret that. What that is saying is, me and you talking, us three right here talking. I'm telling you, hey, people, hold on, let me break it down. Because people misinterpret that scripture. What it's saying is, Jesus saying, I'm Jesus. Right. Hey, y'all, people going to tell y'all that I am Christ. And they going to deceive many. I didn't say that people going to say that they Christ. It's just people said that they're going to claim me as Christ. So what is he saying? I'm not Christ.
No. I can correct that, bro. He said that there are going to be many people coming claiming that they are the Christ. He didn't say that I'm going to come and say I'm the Christ. He said they're going to be other people.
No, he said that people going to say that I'm Christ and deceive men.
No. They're going to be claiming other Christs, bro.
No, he did not.
Come on, bro. You know I've been a minister since 2010. I can pull it up for you right now, bro.
Please do read the scripture.
No, you're talking about the one. You're talking about the ones of when it's talking about false believers, where it says.
No, I know where he's coming from. Like he's going by the word and like how when Jesus is speaking, he says, many shall come in my name saying, I am he.
Right. No, he's talking about Richie. You're right. That's what I was gonna say. He bringing up the one that's talking about people who saying that I am the Christ, which false believers. Let's just say like the Forgive me,
no.
Wait,
you're misinterpreting. The Bible didn't say that people were saying that.
Metu, I'm gonna give a little drama real quick. Forgive me, Captain 10K. He talking about people like Captain 10K of ISUPK who come on here saying, yeah, Jesus is the Christ, but still teach false doctrine. But I thought that she was referring to the scripture that talks about there are going to be many Christs that come in my name and says that they are the Christ. I thought that's what you were Go ahead, my bad.
The scripture says people are going to say that this is me talking. People going to come to you and say, okay, I'm my last name is Jallo. I'm a Fulani. Okay. People are going to say that I am Jallo. Means I'm a Fulani. People gonna come to y'all and say I'm Jallo, and I'm not. I didn't say that people gonna say that they're Jallo. They're gonna tell you that I'm Jallo and I'm not. What that mean? I'm not. So if he's saying that if Jesus is saying, hey, people gonna tell you that I'm Christ, because when he was talking, he wasn't talking to the general public. He had a private meeting with his disciples. I don't want y'all to be deceived, because people gonna tell y'all I'm Christ and will deceive many. I'm not Christ.
But I think we kind of going off tangent from like what we was talking about when it came to like comparing Christianity to, you know, being a carbon copy of the older religions.
Right.
And I think that if we used to apply the methodology of similarities, we could basically say nothing is real. I'm gonna give you an example. Abraham Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, right?
Right.
We both believe these are historical people, right? We both believe that? I want to assume it.
Yeah, well, I mean, no, we don't believe. We know.
We know, okay. We know they're the historical figures. Okay, here's some statements about them. Lincoln and John F. Kennedy, right? Lincoln was elected in 1846. Kennedy was 1946. Both elected the presidency. The presidency in 60. Lincoln was 1860. Kennedy was 1960. Both have 7 letters in their last name. Both were concerned with civil rights. Both married in their 30s to women in their 20s. Both lost a son living in the White House. Lincoln lost an 11-year-old son. Kennedy lost an infant son. Both sons' names were William Lance Lincoln. Both were shot on a Friday. Both were shot in the head. Both were shot in the presence of their wives. Both were assassinated. I could keep going on and on about these similarities. So I could basically say, hold on. Kennedy wasn't real because they basically copied off of Lincoln. So if I don't to use similarity, I could apply it to anything and say that everything is not real. And I think this is what's happening to Christianity. That we make things like, I see memes, the sun walking on water, and they show a meme with the sun on the water. Those are just circumstantial situations because in life, things are gonna be similar in life. There's nothing new under the sun. You understand what I'm saying? But to go as far to say because a word sounds the same in one language to a different language, that's not logical right there. You can't use a word in one language that sounds the same and related to a whole other language family. Because remember, you got Hebrew, which comes from the Aramaic language family, and you got Greek, which is another side of the language family. You understand what I'm saying? So really can't relate linguistics on that level unless you're talking about English to German to Greek. You understand what I'm saying? So I think, when it comes to Christianity, test the reality that God gave us to test. There's no way I could prove to you. There's no way I could prove to you God exists. There's no way any Christian could prove to you God exists. But this is what he said. He said, the test is you go to God yourself, basically, because the evidence of God comes from his spirit. So what God is telling you, God is trying to tell all of us is that basically we go to our bedroom, let's go in our prayer closet, and let's put him to the test.
Right.
And see if he shows up.
Let's give you an example. If I was to say, I don't believe this birth certificate that you gave me, you can't use the birth certificate now to verify that that's you, correct?
Okay.
You got to be like, okay, let me show you my driver's license. I don't believe the driver's license. Okay, let me introduce you to my mom. Let me introduce you to the people that know me. See, now when I'm talking about Christianity, if I say that the Bible is invalid, what people do, they use the Bible to, you can't use it no more. Why is it that Jesus did all this stuff and only people that wrote about it was the people that's in the Bible? You fed 5,000 people with 2 fish, 5 loaves of bread, and only the people in the Bible wrote about it? Nobody wrote nothing down.
Mitch, what they're saying is flip it. What they're saying is flip it, bro. For example, if people say you can't use the Bible to prove the Bible, right?
Right.
But they take narratives from the Bible and try to debunk them according to the Bible, right? Now watch this. That would be the same as me saying that I can't use a math book in defending math. No, we can demonstrate how 1 + 1 is 2 without a math book. But
Right.
if you read a math book, the math book is going to show you that 1 + 1 = 2. You don't even have to demonstrate it. It's the answer. So when it comes to the Bible, when people say you can't use the Bible to argue the Bible, what they're saying is, I'm taking a biblical narrative, but you can't use the same biblical narrative to disprove me. That's false, bro. It's false, bro.
This is what I'm saying. If people just read the Bible as just a book of morality, things would be a whole lot better. Because now you arguing over the existence of things that they don't even matter.
I agree with you on Metu. I agree with you on that.
It don't even matter if he did it or not. You got to get the point of the story. There's a lot of points of the story. If you took it as It's
For the
nothing.
listening audience,
The Bible is nothing but astrotheology.
I want to get this on record. My brother Metu, and I ain't saying the term brother Lucius. I'm saying it. My brother Metu just said, if you read the Bible just based off of moral standards, you good. Did y'all
Right.
hear him say that? No, Metu, listen, this is not a diss towards you, bro. This at all. Y'all hear me? If y'all read it for the moral, because the moral standard lines up with every other moral standard.
Right. And it will make more sense to a lot of the stuff that you hear.
What is the moral standard? Do not kill, do not steal, do not lie, obey your parents.
Love yourself.
That's the moral standard. So
I
I just want to point that out though. So even though there may be other stuff mixed into because don't forget, John Henry Clarke said the same thing. John Henry Clarke said we shouldn't throw the Bible out. The Bible is written from our people. And I know that Metu follows John Henry Clarke. So he's saying the same thing John Henry Clarke saying. Hey, this comes from our people. Now, it may be some BS up in here, and that we probably shouldn't follow, that the white man may put up in here. But this moral standard, this logic standard, this reasonable standard, that comes from our people. And that's what my brother Metu was saying.
This is the thing.
And if that is what he's saying, I agree with that.
This is what I'm saying. You got to know how to eat the fish and spit out the bones.
Spit out the bones. I just posted. If you go on my Facebook page,
because there's a lot of things. There's a lot of things within the Kemetic text. Whereas if you took it literal, you be like, "Oh man, I ain't finna believe that. That shit crazy." But if you look at it as a morality, like, "Oh,
our first cuss word tonight." Oh man, go ahead, Metu.
It would make more sense if you just like, you know what? Okay, I get what they saying. That makes sense. Because our ancestors never said get rid of Set. The evil brother, so-called evil brother, because we never say evil, but the so-called evil brother of Asar. All they're saying is you don't make that side of you your commander in chief.
The righteous side. Okay, Metu, I don't want to go too deep. Richie, Metu already gave his last closing statements, even though y'all kind of had a back and forth between that.
Mm-hmm.
Go and give your closing statements, and I'm gonna let Metu give his closing statement, and then we're gonna go and close out.
To the listeners and to my brother Metu, appreciate the conversation tonight. It was real dope tonight. And this is what I expected, conversations to be. Instead of people downplaying each other, trying to make people look stupid. We didn't do none of that. We respect each other. But from the Christian standpoint, our mentality believes that one day there's going to be a day of judgment. That the dead, everybody's going to be resurrected. The dead, they're going to be the dead in Christ. They're going to be those not in Christ, and that one day there's going to be a judgment. And we believe this to happen. So we really look at where we're coming from when it comes to trying to put people onto the faith. It's not coming from a place of insecurity. You must believe what I believe so I could believe it myself. Because if you believe it, that must mean it's more real. It's not coming from that. We actually believe that one day there's going to be a day of judgment. And this is why, regardless of of course, while we live in here, we want to, make our communities better. There shouldn't be no belief system for that. It should just come naturally from us that, we uplift our communities, all that stuff. We don't need a belief system for that, but we do need Christ for salvation. And, that's how I want to close out with.
Okay. Well, Metu, gonna give your last closing words, my brother.
Our ancestors also understood there is a day of judgment. We knew that as well. We had a judgment hall. We had the writings all on the wall about a judgment day. We knew that, and we know that. What I'm saying, what we also understood is it's not about how you die. It's about how you live. Because our ancestors said your salvation is accomplished through the deeds of the individual. So it ain't about what you believe, it's about what you do. It's about accountability. And what I'm just telling our people, what we need to do is be accountable for the things that we do, respect others, know how to treat one another, know how to respect other people, know when warfare is when someone is attacking you, how to defend yourself. But know that everybody we had the whole concept of the judgment day come from African people. There will be a judgment day. What I'm saying is it's not about how you die. It's about how you live. That's why I'm going to close with that.
Man, hey. I ain't got it up, but if I could drop a bomb for both of y'all, brothers, man, say I would, man. As y'all can see, we've been having this dialogue for about 2 hours. Look at how both of these brothers addressed each other. You didn't see no ad hominems thrown at each other. You didn't see nobody disrespecting nobody. You saw questions asked. You even saw sometimes where it may have got a little turned up. Nobody disrespected nobody, man. You say that you pro-black. You say that you for your people. If you say that you about making that fine line in between whatever belief system your brother may have, these two brothers have just showed how two brothers from different backgrounds and different belief systems can come together and have an open dialogue and an open discussion. And if I must say, this was my brother Richie Garfield idea. And as I told my brother Metu, hey, this is no malice behind this. My brother Richie is genuine. He just want to talk to you, bro. And I hope that everybody has got their point across. To both of you brothers, I hope that I've proven my point to both of y'all. To the listening audience, I hope that y'all can see what Paradigm Shift 314 is all about, man. I am your host, Nobody. Always trying to tell everybody about somebody who can save anybody, and that is Jesus the Christ. That is the brother, Richie Garfield, filmmaker, music producer extraordinaire. I'm putting that on him. That is Metu the God, comedic saber, teacher, practitioner, giving y'all how it is from the real. This has been Paradigm Shift TV 314. And we'll catch y'all in the next one. And that's peace.
Knowledge itself is important. I get the feeling, you know that. Catch me on front lines, no hold back. All these relate.
Yo, it's your brother B. Washington, brother Washington, Byron Washington, coming to you straight live. I want to give a shout out to our brother Pianki Pata, aka DMG, aka got the baddest channel on the planet, Paradigm Shift 314. I really love this channel because it allows brothers and sisters from all walks of life, all spiritual traditions, to really come dialogue, no BS, no fighting. Yeah, we turn up a little bit here and there, but we still do it to turn up in love, and we all try to build from each other. And I can really appreciate that. And the brother's real open because he's down for the people, no matter regardless of your traditions. Of course, everybody gonna have their own belief systems and this, that, and the third. But the brother is down for the people to allow us to build and really find a way to navigate in this world that's so oppressed us. No matter what your faith tradition is, what your worldview is, with your whatever the case is, we already know that in this society we become are a part of an oppressed society. So shout out to Paradigm Shift 314. Shout out to the brothers and the co-hosts as well, Nobody. So we just gonna keep it on rolling again. The hottest channel on YouTube.